welcome along everybody. We are here and ready finally for the qualifying for the 100% League, back again on our screens and on a Wednesday evening, and we have got some action here tonight and a very wet Texas as we start off the qualifying session. Well, we don't really, because we're already 3 minutes into it, but technical difficulties and all that, we've got themselves sorted then. Get that barbecue on, says Ginger Rage in the comment section as we go through the slaloming S's section of Sector 1 for Sick as Muck, who is on track now. Then bit of a difficult circuit to negotiate on these wet conditions, but hopefully it will dry up then for the race itself. Then 100% distance of the USA Grand Prix, then of course the traditional circuit for USA F1 racing. Of course we've now got three tracks on the Canada now for in the US of A, then potentially more to come then in future Liberty Media outings, but we'll have to wait on that. But I think they've rumoured one about where was they rumouring one about? I can't remember, something about we've done Las Vegas, haven't we? I can't remember where they was it New York or something like that. I think they were going to next, but who knows when that'll be or if that'll be at all. But nonetheless, we can crack on then here in Texas. Then unfortunately for Ginger Age as well, then it's not barbecue weather out there, is it? It is definitely a bit rainy here in the Austin, and unfortunately I'm trying to negotiate the circuit then in these difficult conditions, and it's going to be a bit treacherous indeed. In the championship then we've got Equaz then, who is leading the way then, no it's not, sorry, it says R2 Beat then leading the way then in the Alpine, then Equaz in P2 then, and of course Gordo then in the Aston Martin P3 as it stands in the championship fight. Then Kiki has done a 47.4 then to set ourselves underway, then a 45.5 sorry from Lewis Riley then up into P1, and here comes Sick as Muck then up to the line. What's it going to be for the Ferrari? A 48.2 puts himself P3 here as it stands. Then like I said, for the first few times tumbling in, then Kamara Racing then starting off on a lap as well here, and so far so good then for the qualifying, I said. But of course there's only a few drivers who set a time. Then KD at his home track, then the 46.8 then for the Haas driver. Then he is currently 1.3 seconds off pole position as it stands. Then Lewis Riley's done a pretty good job indeed then in that McLaren, it looks like. Then Lucas Percy though has eclipsed the McLaren then with a 45.1 then from the kick Sauber, then a fantastic time indeed. Try and nerf Percy as much as possible then, but unfortunately it doesn't work because he's done a fantastic job then in the slowest car on the grid. Then Kick Sauber then on pole position as it stands. Then of only 6 drivers have set a time so far in these wet conditions. Then make that 7 now because Kiki has crossed, no he hasn't, Mumford has crossed the line, sorry, with a 45.651 then in the other Haas car, then puts himself P4. Young Lights has done a 45.4 as well. Then both the Kick Saubers looking fantastic on form here tonight in Austin, Texas. Then look, good stuff indeed. Barry said, evening Alex, all in the mushroom by the way then. Oh of course, yes Barry, I do remember sending you a hoodie or two. So yes, Barry and Darren, isn't it then? That's it. So yeah, good stuff indeed. I hope Serious Mushroom then, or as you know him, Darren, is doing all right then, and hopefully we can see him back then at some point soon then, maybe next season, next year as well then. But yes, all the best wishes then to Serious Mushroom, who's undergoing a bit of a major surgery, let's just put it that way, hopefully that goes well. Lewis Riley has improved to a 45.0 then, displacing Percy and his teammate Young Lights then down to P2 and P3 respectively. We've got SG Tory then up into a 47.1, then put himself P6. Then Kiki has jumped up to P8 then, no I think Sick as Muck, sorry, has jumped up to P8, 7 I should say, but both of them have been displaced down by Kamara Racing for the 46.995 for P6 as it stands. Good stuff indeed. Justified starting off a lap then at his home Grand Prix as well. Ginger Age has done a 50.4. I'm not sure that's Ginger Age's best pace. Then he's got himself a new helmet, he says in the comment section, but it still looks pink to me, and that's good stuff indeed then. Watch Ginger go without my setups, says Barry. Even all from Rocky Lee as well then. Good stuff indeed then. And yeah, I'm not quite sure Ginger Age will be any better off. I'm pretty sure he will be worse off, let's just put it that way. Unless that is his current time, that's his best time. I'm sure the setups from Mushroom then were definitely hoping based on that qualifying lap. But we'll just have to watch out then what Ginger Age is going to be doing. Maybe he's doing 2 laps then around this circuit then on this run. Where is the next challenger to cross the line? It it could be Coop. And let's see what Coop is up to here, flying round the final corner. Then Coop up to the line. Then it's a P5 for Coop, and that's a 46.4, then 46.5, sorry, from the Williams driver. Then Astrodron, then very close in proximity then to that Williams, then, and has got himself up into P6, then right behind Coop in the Red Bull car as well. Then RGB a 47.8, then in the Alpine, then down in P12, unfortunately, then for the championship leader. And we'll have to wait and see what he can do then in the next next 10 minutes of qualifying here. I am Mushroom in my dad's laptop, says Mushroom. Right then, okay. There's too many Gaskins. That's why I'm getting confused. But there we go then. Good stuff indeed. Justify then coming through in the final sector, then through this long right-hander, which can be very, very difficult in the rainy conditions. It can be difficult in the dry conditions, to be fair. But there we go then, coming through now into the last couple of corners, and my headphones are about to drop out. There we go then. Good stuff. And we're out of the final corner then for Justify. His first time on the board is going to be a 47.4, then puts himself P11 just behind his teammate by a tenth of a second, then, or less than a tenth of a second, half a tenth of a second, and that is just outside the top 10 for Justify at his home race as well. Then Coop, I think, has jumped. No, it's not Coop, it's somebody else. Then Astrodron, no, I'm not quite sure what is going on there, and there's somebody who's almost got in the way then. I think that was Coop, and Astrodron then switching places then on track there. Good stuff indeed. Then Mumford plays. Then where is he? Where is he? There he is. It's Mumford plays a 44.4 then for the... No, it's not anymore. Sorry, Mumford. It's 44.3 for Lucas Percy. And Younglight's a 44.4 as well. Has displaced Mumford down to P3 after he put himself on pole momentarily. But both the kick hours have displaced the Haas back down to P3 then with a fantastic form, then locking out the front row as it stands as well. And good stuff indeed so far then for Kick Sauber here in the US of A then. Both the Hasses are looking strong as well, to be fair, at their home Grand Prix then, so I have to wait and see. Then I'm hoping that I don't lose my voice as R2B has improved to a 45.9 then, and jumped up from P12 to P6 then. Brilliant stuff indeed. A good improvement then from the Alpine driver then, and looking strong. Then soft compound tyres in the garage, that is, for SG Tori and for Farf as well then, so I'm not quite sure if they're aware of something that we're not then. Ginger Age looking to improve on a 50.4 then. A Serious Mushroom's going to be waiting with bated breath then to see what Ginger Age can do then on this lap, and we will see what he can do then riding through the final sector now as well then in McLaren. Can he improve on a 50.4 and get himself further up the order then? We've seen some good times from Ginger Age in qualifying. Here comes Kiki up into P4 with a 44.4 as well. The 44.4s, the 4s are all tumbling in, and there's soft compound tyres being set on the cars in the garages at the moment then, which is interesting stuff indeed. Here comes Ginger Age then looking to improve then, and let's see what it's going to be. A 3.6 second improvement puts himself P10 then with a 46.8 then. Brilliant stuff indeed. Into the top 10 then for the Ginger Age, and that is looking pretty scary indeed. Scary indeed, I should say, then for everybody else rather than Ginger Age. But maybe he's scared a bit as well. But there we go. And here comes Sickers Muck then through the first sector as well. They're looking good indeed then for the Ferrari. It has started to dry up then, I think, according to, well, basically the less raindrops that I'm seeing on the circuit, but nevertheless it still looks a bit damp out there. But the dry line is forming then on that racing line as well though, so potentially we might see the soft compound tyres go on for the very final few seconds of qualifying. It will have to start drying up pretty quickly here though, as Sickers Muck then going down that back straight. Then there's a racing ball, I think, just getting out of the way. Then that might be Kiki, who's got himself up into P4 then onto the second row of the grid then for Kiki. Gordo has said hola and good luck then. Never knew I would miss this so much then. Well, I've messaged you on Discord then, so hopefully you can have a look at your Discord as well then, and we can have a chat about that sort of stuff, and then we'll see when we can get you back then, of course, Mushroom. But fingers crossed it will not be too long then, and fingers crossed everything goes well for yourself as well, sir. So yes, not too long then, hopefully, and we will see you back then. And of course, you're always welcome to pester one of us, or myself, or Sean, that is, in the stream as well. But of course, whenever Sean is commentating, do not mention Andretti, because it's a sore subject, if you hadn't gathered already then. But here comes Sickers Muck then around the final corner then, up to the line then. It's P8 for Sickers Muck, then a 46.0, then puts himself into the top 10 very comfortably indeed as well. And unfortunately for Ginger Age, displacing himself down to P11, but he has improved, goodness me, 1.1 seconds then on this lap for Ginger Age. Then it's a 45.6 then for the Ginger, and he's up into P6 then, the third row of the grid then. That is going to be very scary heights then for Ginger Age. And I think Mushroom actually commented hinted on Sunday that I was going to be having nosebleeds being up as high as I was in the gold race in Singapore then, and I think Ginger Age might be having the same feeling there as well then, as Seekers Muck is having a bit of a scenic route then through Sector 1. I think coming back to the pit now, I think it's definitely stopped raining there, hasn't it? So it might be, well, we've got 5 minutes left of qualifying. Then will we see the potentially will we see the track dry out quickly enough then for the dry compound tyres? Gordo then has got the soft compound tyres on that Aston Martin and is still a bit drifty out there for those tyres as well. Then. Who is this Barry guy, says Goku. If you hadn't read already the comments, it's Mushroom, sorry. Thank you means a lot then, says Mushroom as well. Then Evening Mushroom from Rocket League, Evening Rocket and Styles, says Barry as well then, or Mushroom does, so I should say, goodness me. Right then, oh dear, Gordon then coming through turn 1 then, and that car is not sticking to the track then like it would do in the dry conditions then, so I think it's still a bit too damp out there. That he's drifted it around there very nicely indeed, but unfortunately not nice for his lap time then, and definitely not nice on those tyres as well then, as he goes through the first sector then. I think the first sector a bit treacherous then on the soft compound tyres in these conditions. There we go then. Ginger Age is still out on circuit then on the intermediates, and is currently sitting very pretty then in P6 at the moment then, which is going to be fantastic. I think it would be his highest qualifying performance then if he does get himself that P6 position, but there's still time on the board then for drivers to go out and improve. We'll have to wait and see then. Gordo is the only man out on track now, so I think everybody else is waiting in the pit lane to see what Gordo is going to be doing first, and also if it's going to dry out then in the next 2 minutes or so then before they can get themselves out on track. He's an imposter pretending to be Mushroom, says Goku then. Right then, Ginger Age said, I knew it was Mushroom that was holding me back, says Ginger Age. Goodness me. And, well, we'll have to wait and see then, but yeah, we'll see how far Ginger Age falls down the order now in qualifying. But yes, I'm sure he's very happy with P6 at the moment. The track was drying out, Sean. That is the reason why he went so fast. I'll just have to say that. There we go. I'm just being mean. But there we go then. In the garage, and it says they were quicker, says Corder. That is why he's out on the soft. Well, he somehow messaged that whilst he's on the track there. Brilliant stuff indeed. But it says the soft compound tyres are quicker, so that might be in the next minute or two then. But Gordo is not going to be in a prime position then well, he's coming back into the pit lane now, so he needs to get himself hurried along then, because there's not going to be much time to start a lap then if he's going to get himself wheeled into the garage then and back out then before the checkered flag starts to fall. Then of course they need to get themselves out on the circuit. Then Farmer's gone for the medium compound tyres here instead. Interesting stuff indeed. Then Equaz has not set a time, then same for Reflection as well then, so there's a few drivers then stuck in the pit lane yet to set a time. 14 drivers then have got a time on the board. Then there's a few drivers coming out now, and who is that then? I think that's a Williams car coming out now, is it? No, maybe not. I'm completely wrong. Hopefully it will change very soon so we can see. It's a outlap then for Equaz, who's on intermediate compound tyres then, so maybe he thinks that it's not going to be dry enough then for the soft compounds at the end of the qualifying, I should say. Goodness me. And it's only got a couple of minutes then to get, well, 1 minute or less than a minute now, I should say, to get themselves out on track now, so they've got to choose quickly then and get themselves moving, otherwise they will not have time to set a lap time around this on this final attempt, I should say. Mushroom need to help with strategy, says Ginger Age. Told you that, says Serious Mushroom, and drive faster is the strategy there as well then from Mushroom as well. I think that's a very good strategy indeed. I think it should work, and fingers crossed then Ginger Age can hold his own then as it stands. And it's a lot of drivers then out on intermediate compound tyres. Gordo's gone on intermediate compound tyres now. Where's the rest of the field then? Coop's gone out on intermediate compound tyres. Lots of people using the soft compound. Ginger Age back out on intermediates as well. Then soft compounds for Lewis Riley and for Kiki. My goodness me, there's all sorts of action going out of the pit lane, and Kiki's not had a great time there. He's lost the car almost then on traction. Intermediates again for Mumford, then Young Lights on intermediates as well. Then soft compound tyres for current pole sitter then of Lucas Percy, and there's only 1 minute 20 left in the session. Then Astra John has not got himself out of the pit lane in time. The same for Reflection as well then, and for Hungry Styles, I think then both the Rebels then not getting themselves moving. We've got more action then for Kiki then, who's gone off again then in sector 1. This is not going to be looking good then for Kiki. Unfortunately he's had a bit of a scenic route as well then, just like Sickers Muck did, but thankfully he is pointing in the right direction and all of his wing is intact. Then right now, where is the Williams of Equaz? Here's the first man to start off the final laps here in qualifying. Then 45 seconds left of qualifying here. Goku said, how are you then? And all good at the moment, says Mushroom as well. Good stuff indeed. Right then, here comes Equaz then to finish off his first and only and first and final lap of the qualifying for Equaz. Of course, the championship challenger then is the Williams driver. Then let's see what he can do then on his only attempt here in qualifying tonight. Then as we go through sector 1, then it's a 27.9. Then I'm not quite sure. It's gone purple on the track map, which is good, promising news. But we'll have to wait and see then where that's going to put him in the rest of the order. Then as we go through the next 2 sectors as well. Then heading down towards the hairpin here as well. Then heading down that back straight. Then this is where DRS will hopefully be available then in the dry conditions. I don't think we've seen DRS activated just yet then on the from the race directors, and so unfortunately I don't think there's going to be some DRS then on this back straight. Then is there? No, not quite then, unfortunately for unfortunately for Equaz. Then it might be activated then in the next few seconds. We never know. So there we are. Nice, so your real name is Barry. No, it's my dad's name, says Mushroom. Then I think there's a few issues going on there. Right then. But Equaz then seems to be pointing the car in the right direction, then to be putting it on a good lap time here. Then he's gone purple in sector 2 as well. Can he try and hold that steal that pole position away then, I should say, then from Lucas Percy? Soft compound tyres on for half the field. The rest of them on the intermediate compound tyres. Hungry Styles, no time then. Same for Farf, same for Reflection. Tori is done then as well then, as is Astrojon then, as is Sick as Muck and R2 Beat then, and Lewis Riley and Kiki then. I don't think they got themselves to the line in time. Then here comes Equaz then around the final corner, then up to the line. It's going to be a 42.2, puts himself on pole position here, and there's a McLaren coming round. Then here comes Ginger Rage and P2 for Ginger Rage as it stands. Fantastic stuff indeed. A 42.3 then. He's only a tenth away then from pole position here in USA. But we've got some more challenges coming around the final couple of quarters, and here comes Young Lights then on the intermediate compound tyres. Can he take that pole position away then from Equaz? Here he comes across the line. Then it's pole position for Young Lights in as well. Brilliant stuff indeed. Then there's a Ferrari coming across the line. It's not, it's Justified. Sorry, no, it's Justified back in the pit lane. Sorry, Mumford pole position. Sorry, Mumford, I missed it. Then it's a 40.2 for him. Takes it away from Young Lights. Then here comes his teammate of KD. Where is KD going to jump up the order then too? Unfortunately not. He stays P8. Where is Equaz? Equaz, Coop's jumped up to P3. Then the brilliant stuff indeed. Gordo up into P3 there. It's 40.6 for him. DRS has been enabled now. Lucas Percy back in the pit lane, unfortunately for Lucas Percy. He's retired in the pits there as well. Then I think that is qualifying done and dusted. So Mumford has taken pole position then at the final attempt here in the US of A. Goodness me. We'll run through the classification because I completely botched that. But there we go then. Pole position for Haas here in USA. They're going to be very happy with that then at their home Grand Prix. Go on, Ginger, says Mushroom. Unfortunately, he's dropped out. He stays P6. Goodness me, that's incredible stuff indeed. We'll run through the order then. Mumford then pole position. Young Lights on the front row of the grid. Then P2. Gordo P3. Coop in P4. And his teammate Equaz in P5. Ginger Rage with his best qualifying of the season in P6. Then Lucas Percy P7. Kiki P8. Then Kamara Racer P9. Lewis Riley rounds off the top 10. KD P11. R2 Beat P12. Then Sick as Muck P13. Astrojon P14. Tori P15, Justified P16. Unfortunately for Styles, Far from Reflection, they couldn't get themselves out of the garage, and that is that. Then we'll run through the formation. We'll run through the rest of the order. Then we'll run into the race very soon after a quick word from our lovely sponsors. Right, we are ready to get going in a nice and sunny Texas then. So Sunday has switched then to a very sunny Grand Prix, it looks like, at least to start with. But there we go then, we are away for the formation lap now. And here we go then. This is the grid. This is the order then to start off the Grand Prix. Of course, there is a long duration of laps to come then. I think it's 56 or 7. Goodness me, I don't know. But there we go. Someone can tell me. All accidental. I meant to pick soft, says Ginger Rage then, but there we go. That's good stuff indeed. He got himself a P6 there. Brilliant stuff. Right, then we'll run through the order then from the back of the grid. Then Reflection in P19, medium compound tyres then for the Mercedes driver. Then unfortunately didn't get a time on the board. Then there's an Alpine having a bit of a problem there of Farf. He's on the hard compound tyres then to start off this race, and as is Styles in P17 in the Red Bull. Then good stuff indeed. Then soft compound tyres for a trio ahead of them. That is Justified P16. Then Tory in P15. Lewis, Riley and KD have had a bit of an issue somewhere. Astrotron then soft compound tyres for the Red Bull driver. Then Sick as Muck then on the hard compound tyres in the Ferrari. R2 beat medium compound tyres then for the Alpine driver, of course, in a championship fight as well. Then in the last few rounds of the season this is as well. Then we've got 6 rounds to go then, including this one, and after that 5 of course, because it goes down by 1. But there we go. Then KD, then P11, then Lewis Riley on the medium compound tyres in P10 as well. Then Camaro and Kiki, then the Racing Bull pair, P8 and P9 respectively, then are on the medium compound tyres. Lucas Percy's opted for the soft compound tyres to start this Grand Prix in P7. Ginger Rage medium compound tyres in the 3rd row of the grid, then his highest qualifying position of the season so far. Pretty good stuff indeed then. Medium compound tyres for him, and Equaz and Coupe P5 and P4 respectively as well. Then medium compound tyres for the Williams pair. Then Gordo P3, then medium compound tyres for him. Then Young Lights then on the front row of the grid, then his best qualifying of the season, he said in the comment section. Medium compound tyres, and our pole sitter then Mumford is on the soft compound tyres, looking for a fast start then from pole position here in the US of A. Right, we will get ourselves lined up on the grid then for the start of the US Grand Prix then, just waiting for all drivers to get themselves parked up in their grid slots. And we can crack on then for an exciting US race then. Watch Farf's host start, says Mushroom. Then, to be fair, I have to take account of that then as well. Then in gold, but I try and do a terrible start anyway. Here we are then for the. Well, we can't see the 5 red lights. There we are. 5 red lights are on here in the USA, and away we go then for round 17 of the 100% league. Then good start from Mumford on the soft compound tyres, trying to hold on to that race lead, but Young Lights has got a good start as well. Then down the inside at turn 1. Then can anyone defend as we go right? We go wide then for Gordon, then round the outside. Then Mumford's got himself back through, then round the outside of Young Lights as well. Then goodness me, he takes back the lead then after that first turn. Then through the S's section. Then can we go through here side by side? Not quite. Then Lucas Percy's getting 2 places. Then he's trying to get himself past Gordo, who's dropped down to P6. Then Ginger Rage lost 2 places. Then Kamara up 2 as well. Then in the Racing Bull, fantastic start indeed. Then Kiki's lost out as well. Then unfortunately for Kiki, then he's behind both the McLarens now as we go through the slaloming S's. Then into the sector 2 as well here. And both the Red Bulls have had an issue somewhere. Both the Red Bulls, Astrotron's off the circuit there, and Styles has dropped down a place as well. Then R2B's dropped down 5 places in the Alpine, I should say. Then goodness me, very difficult start for him. Then Sick as Muck and Farf then battling away. Then Tory has passed Kiki then as well in the Aston Martin. Then Ginger Rage is being passed by his teammate, I think, as well. Then down to P9, unfortunately for Ginger Rage, is going backwards then on this first lap. Then, but can he try and recoup his recoup? But goodness me, then Young Lights and Mumford are still battling away, dicing away. Then now into sector 3, and Mumford holds on for the race lead. There's a few different lines you can take through sector 3 then, but we haven't seen it from either of these two on the first lap then. We might see it in the next few laps or so, but so far so good then. Out in front then for Mumford, the pole sitter, then being chased though, being hounded by Young Lights then in the kick salver then, and goodness me, there's a bit of lag there as well then, goodness me, I don't know what's going on there. Equaz then is up into P3, then he's got himself past his teammate, he's got himself past Gordo, who's dropped down 3 places unfortunately for the Aston Martin driver. Then Young Lights sets the fastest lap of the race. Mumford, my goodness me, what is going on there? I think Mumford's got some sort of issues there, because he's on the soft compound tyres, but he seemed to be setting the fastest lap after Young Lights did. Coupe has got himself, Young Lights has got himself past Coupe. Lucas Percy, the other green machine, passing Coupe. Then Farf and KD, there's contact there, and Farf has gone off the circuit as well then. Astrotron then, I think he's lost the front wing there, a little bit of front wing unfortunately. Kamara Racer has passed Gordo then for P6 then, and up into P6 then onto the Charger, I should say, then is Kamara. Then he's doing a great job then after his P2 then in Singapore on Monday in silver. Then he's done a fantastic job then in that one as well. Lewis Riley putting the pressure on Gordo as we go down the hill towards the next hairpin as well then, and Gordo has to hold on to that position for the time being now. And like I said, unfortunately I think we saw a bit of a lag issues in between. I think, I'm not sure who it wasn't Farf, I think it was Mumford actually. Young Lights has got himself past Mumford here for P1, then he's up into the race lead now as Young Lights, then Gordo has got himself back past the Racing Bull of Kamara Racing. Lewis Riley's he's opened the door for Lewis Riley, and Lewis Riley has taken that opportunity, then got himself over to P7 here, and Kamara losing 2 places down that straight as well. Then Ginger Age has gone purple in Sector 2, so that is looking pretty good indeed then. Kiki unfortunately is lost out then by 2 seconds to the top 10. That's going to be very problematic indeed then if Kiki can't get himself back in contention. Then RGB and KD then are battling away, then KD's dropped down to P16 here as it stands at the moment. Then we're only on lap 2 then, so there's plenty of racing still to come here in the US of A. Watch Farf's host start. Not my fault, Farf, says Mushroom. Farf's got a 3-second penalty then as well, then goodness me. It is not going well then on this race start then for Farf then, unfortunately. But now in the race lead is Young Lights then. Can he hold on to that race lead is the question then. We'll see through the next few laps then, but of course Mumford is on the soft compound tyres. He should be going pretty quick indeed then on those soft compound tyres, you would imagine then at this stage of the race then, at this stage of the stint I should say, because they will drop off quicker than those on the medium compound tyres and those on the hard compound tyres as well then. Lovely shot here through the first sector then, and heading into sector 2 momentarily as well. Then we'll switch on to the tyre situation to see what everyone's using at the first few laps in the first stint of this Grand Prix. And at the moment it's a bit of an even split then between softs and mediums. Well, majority mediums, I should say. Then there's a few hard runners there as well, then, goodness me. As Young Lights then almost driving off the circuit, Alonso style there, so hopefully didn't take off. I think trying to break the toe then from Mumford there, but Mumford not close enough then to make a move then into the next braking zone then. And I think Equaz is actually getting closer to Mumford as well then. So maybe those soft compound tyres not working on the Haas as well as they should be then. Justifies got himself past Kiki, then up into P11 now in the Ferrari. Then good stuff indeed. Can he get himself one more place to get himself into the points paying positions? Then 2.8 seconds behind Tory now, who is chasing Ginger Age down as it stands as well. So far so good then, and even better is that I didn't lose my voice at the start of this race like I did at the beginning of Silver then on Monday night, so fantastic stuff indeed. I'm sure there's still opportunity for that to happen then, as we've still got another 53 laps to go then at the end of this one. So there we go. On to lap 4 now, and Mumford then is just trying to hold on to that DRS then for the kick from the kick salvo, I should say there. But unfortunately Mumford seems to be having a bit of a problem then on those soft compound tyres. Maybe the Haas just not suited to the soft compound, as Coop and Gordo battling away then for P5. Then Coop holds on to P5 for the time being. Then Gordo looking to mount a charge then as well. Then goodness me, and now my voice is going. Right there, good stuff. As we get a lovely camera angle. F1 Manager 24-esque then is this lovely camera angle. Then going through the first sector then, and just showing the slalom of this circuit as well. Then of course if you get the car unbalanced then through the first part of the circuit, then unfortunately it compromises you for quite a lot of the rest of the corners of sector 1, especially as you get into this part of the circuit. Then this is where you can rectify that, but unfortunately yeah, if you get it wrong then it can compromise you then very drastically then through sector 1. Mumford then with some DRS, then Lucas Percy up into P3, passing Equaz, sorry, into the podium places. Then from P7 then is Lucas Percy, then looking good indeed then in green as we go through then into turn 12 then, which is where of course we had a few real life incidents there as well. But they have thankfully so far managed to keep themselves to themselves. Young Lights, sorry, Justify and Kiki battling away. Then Gordo and Coop are battling away as well. Then Gordo has got himself up into P5. Sick as Muck and Kiki are battling away. Then both the Ferraris now battling with each other, it looks like here as well. Justify's lost out to Sick as Muck as well, somewhere through that complex of corners of sector 3. Then round the outside goes Kiki. Can he hold the move? Then yes, he can. Then brilliant move indeed then from Kiki. Then fantastic stuff indeed. I'm going to have to put that down as my candidate for overtaking the season. Goodness me. Brilliant stuff then, and I think that was very calculated indeed then from both drivers then to make sure they got themselves through there unscathed. And now Kiki looking to mount a charge then on Sick as Muck then for that P11 position. Then Ginger Age and Tory the battling away then as well, then going through turn 1. Kiki round the outside of Sick as Muck then has got the place, then up into P11 now. Reflection has got himself past Justify. Then the soft compound tyres might start to overheat here in this very warm weather of Texas as well now, and that's why we might be seeing those soft compound tyres and start to drop off quickly. Ginger Age unfortunately has dropped off from the back then of Kamara Racer then, and now is under pressure from SG Tory, who is looking to try and get himself up into P9 here. Out in front then, it looks like Mumford is still just about within DRS range then. He's having to harvest some energy there, it looks like as well. going down the back straight then. Mumford then is not within DRS range of the race leader of Young Lights. Young Lights has now got a gap then of 1.3 seconds. Percy looking to mount a charge for P2 then into turn 12, but not quite then. Reflection has got himself past Justify here. Goodness me, there's action all over the place then. Lewis Riley passing Coop, has he? Not quite then. Round the outside he goes, and Coop holds on for the time being then. We think we've seen Tory get himself past Ginger Age. Ginger Age down to P10 unfortunately now then, but still in the DRS range then of his rivals as well. Then Kiki's held on to P11 for the time being then, as we go through the now slaloming section of Sector 2 then. R2 Beat passing Reflection for P14 then, and so far so good then. Everyone else has got themselves through unscathed for the time being. But Mumford has lost a lot of time here. Then goodness me, he's lost 2 seconds then to Young Lights in this lap. Then that's a very formidable time loss indeed as well. Then here comes Equaz trying to get himself back past Percy as well. Then down up towards turn 1, I should say. There's a hill there as we go through turn 1. Then Equaz has regained that place then on the kickstart. Then down to P4 for Lucas Percy on the soft compound tyres. Potentially we are seeing the soft compound tyres already dropping off here in this race. Then the gap now 2.3 seconds going through the fast S's section of Sector 1. Then in the background, Gorda going a bit wide there, but he's got himself under control just about then. Good stuff indeed then in these opening 6 laps then. Of course, quite a few laps to go then in this race as well. Then it's very close indeed, to be fair. Apart from the race lead, then it's now almost 3 seconds then for Young Lights. Then he was storming off in the distance then on his medium compound tyres and looking pretty formidable out there as well. Then around the hairpin we go then. There could be quite a few drivers then trying to get himself past Mumford on this occasion now. Equaz first to try then with some DRS as well. Then he's got himself breezing past then already. And here comes Percy. Here comes Gordo as well then. And they're all passing Mumford as well here. Gordo down the inside of Lucas Percy then into turn 12. Then has he got the move done? Yes, he has then as well. Then up into P3 then for Gordo. Fantastic stuff indeed. Then Lucas Percy stays P4 after making an overtake there, which is very odd stuff indeed to see, but it has happened. There we go then. And now Equaz then up into P2. 2.6 seconds the gap then to the race leader of Young Lights as well. Then Gordo is half a second behind. Then Lucas Percy is past Mumford up into P4 and now trying to chase down the Aston Martin then for P3 and get himself back on the podium places. Then Mumford then down to P5. Those soft compound tyres I don't think is working then for the Haas driver, unfortunately. Then at this stage of the race then Coop into P6, then Lewis Riley P7, then Kamara Racer P8, then Tory P9 and Ginger Age rounding off the top 10 as it stands. Nice and tight midfield, says Mushroom. Very good stuff indeed. Very, very naughty stuff indeed as well then. Maybe that's just my mind, but there we go then. Lewis Riley and Coop are battling away then, and Coop has held on once again. Then round the outside goes Lewis Riley then this time. Oh dear, trying to go for a side-by-side move through there. Not going to work very well then. Sickers got himself past Kiki. Lewis Riley picks up a penalty then going through the SS section as well. But Sickers passing Kiki then for P11. He is the highest of the hard runners then, is Sick as Muck then looking to get himself a good result here on the hard compound tyres in this first stint. Then Reflection and R2 Beat are switching places. Then R2 Beat then of course is in a championship fight here and needs to try and get himself some points. Then he's close to the back then of Kiki. Then unfortunately for KD picked up a penalty there as well. Then Favre has got himself past Styles and is now trying to chase down KD as well then in P16 and 17. Then out in front then 2.7 seconds the gap then between the race leaders. And here comes Gordo on the charge. Then I think he's a bit too far back to make a lunge then into Sector 3 then just for the time being. He stays P3 then Serious Mushroom. No, it's Lucas Percy in P4 then Mumford in P6 and I keep seeing Serious Mushroom. Then hopefully we'll be back on our screens very soon. Sick as Muck then passing Kiki then for P11. Then these two in a bit of a fight then in these first few laps for that P11 position. Then there's still there's 4 seconds between them and P10 as it stands of Ginger Age, who is further up the road, then much further up the road. You can't see him then through these complex of corners. Then R2 Beat Reflection have switched places as well. Then they have switched places for 13th and 14th as it stands as well. Then Justify holding on at this stage, and KD then both the US drivers then unfortunately not having a good start to this race then, but can they make up positions then? Can they make up some moves later on in the race? And like I said, I'll keep saying it's a very long Grand Prix indeed because it's 100% distance if you hadn't noticed. But there we go. Right, actually, let's watch this battle because this is going to be an enticing battle indeed. As here comes Farf then, he's got the inside for turn 1 then. Oh dear, he's gone deep on the brakes then. That could open the door then for KD to try and swoop through down the inside and switch back there, but Farf holds on to P16. after making the move then on the Haas then, and now he's got Justify is his next target. Then through the S's section we go then. Once again, a fantastic camera angle indeed from Codemasters. Goodness me, Justify out of shape then, and Ginger Raider's got a penalty, unfortunately for Ginger Raider. Justify out of shape then, and that is really holding up far through this S's section, and he's clouted into the back of the Ferrari there as well then, which is a classic fast move. But yes, goodness me, and I think he's got the DRS as well then. DRS line then just showing up then on the stream. But here we go then. Gordo's got himself up into P2 then, passing Equaz then for the time being then into Sector 3 we go then, and Gordo up into P2 now. 3.5 seconds the gap then to the race leader of Young Lights, who stormed off into the distance then is Young Lights, and we'll have to come back to him at some point then, because we need to get the sponsors a shot on the broadcast as well at some point. Farf and KD then battling away then. Farf and KD side by side. There's more contact between Farf and KD, and yeah, that is just typical stuff indeed then from Farf and KD then, looks like. Brilliant stuff indeed then. They have got themselves in another bunch of problems, and cracking on then is Astrodron as well then, down in P19, but fair play to Astrodron. But Soldier on then, of course, he is not too far off the back there, and potentially can get himself further up the order as well then. Kiki picks up a penalty. Unfortunately for Kiki, that is his first penalty of the evening. Penalty starting to roll in here on lap 9 now, and we're about where are we? We're about a 7th away or 6th away through the race. Oh, goodness me, I can't do the maths, to be fair. Lucas Percy has dropped off the back then of Equaz, and the soft compound tyres might have started to strain then on the kick Sauber then, and those on the soft compound tyres in general as we go through into Sector 1 then. Of course, that's where the most strain is put on the tyres as they are flying through very high speed corners at quick changing pace as well then. Sickens him up, picks up a penalty as well then. Reflection, no, it's Kiki. Kiki's had an issue. Kiki's dropped down the field. Kiki's had a spin then at the top of the hill, it looks like then, in Sector 1, and not having a good time getting the car restarted. Then Mumford has got himself into a battle then with Lewis Riley. Then Lewis Riley on the medium compound tyres is starting to get himself back through the field compared to those on the soft compound tyres, it looks like then, and he's got himself past Mumford then up into P5 now in the McLaren. Can he slow the car down then? Yes, he can, just about then. Good stuff indeed. Otherwise that could have been a bit of a problem then as well, but he's got himself past Mumford now up into P5. Then of course the penalty then will be added onto his race time at the end of the Grand Prix. Kiki, sorry, has well, he's had another spin, I think, as Kiki, because he's dropped down to the back of the field then, and unfortunately for Kiki, then those tyres are going to be very hot. Let's just say that then for the moment. Then that is until he can get those get them back into the optimum temperature window. Here comes Ginger Ray's then looking to get himself an optimum P9 position. Then it looks like as well then for the McLaren. Oh dear, very tight indeed then to that final penultimate turn, I should say. And now into the final turn. Then let's see what he can do. Then can he get himself past the Aston Martin of Tory then with some DRS then down the back straight then. Lucas Percy's been passed by Riley, then Riley up into P4 now on those medium compound tyres. Goodness me, Percy almost into the back then, and Cooper's got himself past Mumford as well. Then Coop then up into P6 then. Ginger Rangers past Tory then for P9. The medium compound tyres definitely kicking in here as well then. Kiki's had another issue, I think, then in Sector 3. Unfortunately then for the Racing Bull driver then. Gordon now 4 seconds behind the race leader. Then they've lost a lot of time. Then Young Lights is definitely storming off into the distance as it stands. Equaz is putting the pressure on then for that P2 position then with himself and his championship rival then Gordo. Farf has picked up a penalty then through the S's section once again, unfortunately for Farf. Then the penalty is starting to roll in. Then Lucas Percy is putting the pressure on, or trying to get himself back in contention, I should say, then for that P4 position then with Lewis Riley. Coop then waiting in the wings as well. Then of course this is where I think we're seeing the crossover then between the medium compound tyres and the soft compound tyres, because those on the mediums are starting to make their way through, or picking their way through those on the softer compound of tyre as well here. Lewis looking good, says Mushroom. Then I bet Ginger was raging about that pen, says Mushroom as well. Then yes, probably, but that's what he does. Then that's why he's called Ginger Age. Then that is his PSN for a reason, isn't it? As we go through Sector 3 now, out in front 4.4 seconds. Then Equaz then not being able to make any moves then on the Aston Martin Cordo for that P2 position on the back straight. Then 2 seconds back is Lewis Riley. Then in P4 then we've got Lucas Percy, Coop and Mumford and Kamara Racer then in close proximity for that P4 position. Then there's a bit of a queue forming then, but there's a bit of a pit stop forming as well here for Lucas Percy, the first man to make a scheduled stop. No, he isn't. Yes, he is, because Mumford is behind him, and Tory is also in the soft compound tyres. 10 laps completed on the soft compound tyres, and they are done and dusted then into the pit lane to sort themselves out onto a different tyre, I would imagine. It's medium compound tyres going on for Lucas Percy, and what is Mumford going on to? Medium compound tyres for him as well then. Soft compound tyres for Justify, he's stayed out then. He's P13 for the time being with those making their pit stops. KD up into P4 P15. Then Mumford coming out right behind his teammate. Then Lucas Percy's ahead of KD, which is good news for Lucas Percy on the fresh tyres. Mumford then will be hoping that KD can let him through. Then he has let him through. Then good teamwork then from the Haas pair, and Mumford can try and charge on and catch up to Lucas Percy. Then sliding through the S's section is the Kick Sauber. And so far, so good then. Right then, there's nobody in the top 13 have pitted yet. We've got Lucas Percy, the first man to pit. Then we've got moves then out in front. Then Equaz has got himself past Gordo, then into turn 12 and up into P2 then for the Williams driver. Then good stuff indeed. Then Lewis Riley is closing in though in the background. That gap was 2 seconds on the last lap. It's now 1.4 here. R2B is up into P9 and passing Reflection now as he gets himself up into up into the points paying positions, of course, but that's due to the stops that have been made by Lucas Percy, Mumford and Tory as well. So we'll come back to that when all the drivers have made their scheduled stops, of course. We'll have to wait and see when that is going to be as well then. But so far so good then. Favre's got himself back up into P11 then and chasing the points paying positions here as well then for the Alpine. Then R2B is the lead of this queue and he is 4.6 seconds behind. And we've got a problem then is Lucas Percy's had an issue then at the sector 3 line somewhere. He's had an issue. He's got himself back underway quickly enough, I think. But he has lost a bit of time there. I'm not quite sure what happened to Percy there. I'm not quite sure he was in a battle with anybody as well, to be fair. But the Tories picked up a 3-second penalty then as well at the exit of this corner here as well. Then Lucas Percy got himself back underway then and back in the fight once again. And unfortunately has lost 3 places I think there for that for the action there as well. Then for that spin then Tory while passing Justify, of course, as he gets to pit then is Justify on the soft compound tyres. He's still going on the soft compound tyres. I'm not quite sure if he has to pay for them or not then. But so far he is soldiering on up there, which is fair enough then. Lewis Riley has shown some brilliant pace then. He's got himself into the DRS range then of Gordo and of Equaz as well. They're 5 seconds off the race leader. Then there is Young Lights in the foreground then going into turn 12. Here comes Gordo. Here comes Lewis Riley then, and Equaz is a bit powerless then with lack of DRS then into the next left-hander then, and unfortunately dropping down to P3 for Equaz. Then Gordo has promoted himself up into P2. Brilliant stuff indeed. Then Lucas Percy got himself past Justify down the back straight, I believe. No, it's not. It's before the back straight. And there we go. Then he's up into P6, then trying to get himself back underway. Then Favre and R2B are battling away. Goodness me, the teammates are at it in the Alpine garage. Then goodness me, round the outside goes Favre. There's contact then with the Mercedes of Ginner's not racing tonight. Reflection, I should say, as Favre then goes for the aggressive move once again then and gets himself past and up into P9. Then Reflection down to P10. R2B then just outside the points paying positions as it stands then on the medium compound tyres. So that is the status quo then. We've got Hungry Stars then in the fight as well on the hard compound in P12. Wow, it's going well so far in lap 13, and I think this is this a quarter of the way through? I'm not quite sure. I can't do the maths very well. Mumford has set the fastest lap of the race. Then that is showing that he is on a pretty good set of tyres. Then KD is into the pit lane very early on then for the medium compound tyres. 12 laps completed then for KD on the medium compound tyres. Are we seeing a bit of tyre wear, or are we seeing that tyre wear is just generally high around this circuit? I think we might be. If you play F1 Manager, then you'll notice that the tyre wear is very horrible around this circuit, but on F1 Manager that is. So I don't know what it's like on the game. KD back onto a set of medium compound tyres then and back underway then in P18. Kiki seems to be, well, I'm not sure where he was going there on that final penultimate corner, I should say then, but he's got himself sorted at least. Here comes Equaz then looking to get himself back up into P2. Then yes, he has done it. Then Lewis Riley trying to go down the inside as well then, and Equaz can't get the car slowed down then. Oh dear. Lewis Riley's just teleported then, which is fantastic. Not quite sure what's going on here then. Astra John's got a 3-second penalty. Then Lewis Riley's being demoted back down to peak. Lewis Riley has left the session, so that is problematic then for Lewis Riley. Unfortunately for Serious Mushroom, he had put in the comment section that Lewis was doing a very good job then, but unfortunately has not so much anymore then. He is disconnected from the session, unfortunately, and needs to get himself back in then from the invite then and get himself back in the car and back on the way. But unfortunately, I think the internet's having a bit of an issue then for the McLaren driver then, hoping he can get himself quickly back in. Coop then in P6 then trying to charge on with a Kamara racer then currently P5. Kamara doing a good job once again here in the racing ball. Then into the pits comes R2B, so the medium compound tyre is not lasting too long then here. it doesn't look like then in the US of A. Then R2B calling it a day then on the medium compound tyres, and into the pit lane he goes. Farf and Reflection carrying on their battle. Justify's got a 3-second penalty, and Justify's yet to pit then from the soft compound tyres, and is carrying on again then is the Ferrari driver. Then goodness me, they are doing one hell of a stint then, let's just put it that way then, on the softs here. R2B onto the hard compound tyre and back out and underway. Then he's being passed by Justify. Then I think he'll be out ahead of Astra John. Yes, he is there. He is going through the top of the corner then, and into turn 1 we go. Then R2B then out in P16 then, but on the hard compound tyres then for his next stint. And Kamara Racer is caught up to the McLaren of Lewis Riley then, who unfortunately is a bit of a ghost at the moment, but fingers crossed he will be back in very soon. Then Equaz has been passed by Gorda then for P2. Then Coop and Kamara have passed the ghost of Lewis Riley. Unfortunately for Lewis Riley, then he is having a great time out there with the lack of he's not in the car, is he? So that he can't get himself he can't fight off the attackers then with no defence then if you're a ghost. But yeah, hopefully he can get himself back in the car very quickly indeed. And there we go. Then Equaz then there's now 7 seconds the gap between Gordo and Younglights then for that lead of the Grand Prix. Then Younglights is doing a fantastic job on this stint to try and maximise the gap as much as possible. Then 3 seconds between Equaz and Kamara Racing. Then Kamara's under pressure from Coop. Then Coop trying to get himself past the Racing Bull to try and catch up to his teammate then in P3 as it stands, as we head on to lap 15 of 56. Then good stuff indeed so far. The opening 15 laps have been absolutely brilliant here in the USA. And Lewis Riley's been passed by Sickers Muck then, of course. But Sickers Muck then is actually, we were talking about this earlier, but I think we need to talk about it a bit more now, because the hard compound tyre seems to be doing pretty well then for those who have started on the hard compound tyre. And Sickers Muck is the leader of the those who started on the hards as well then. Farf and Hungry Styles are the other two. And Justify has finally called it a day then on those soft compound tyres. They must be screaming up there then for Justify then, but he's into the pits now. But Sickers Muck then the leader on the hard compound tyres of the 3 that started on those white wall tyres as well then at the beginning of this Grand Prix, then looking pretty good. Then Mumford has picked up a 3-second penalty, unfortunately for Mumford, then trying to get past Styles, then unfortunately has cost him then that final track limit warning. And he's caught up to Reflection and to Farf as well here. Then he's got 10 lap younger tyres than these two ahead of him as well then, so that's going to be quite promising indeed. Then Lucas Percy 4 seconds off Tory then at the moment. Of course Lucas Percy had that spin. Then Astra John coming out of the pit lane in P19 onto the hard compound tyres, looking to go long then in the next stint as well. Then fair play to Astra John for soldiering on out here as well. Kiki then is I think he might be looking to pit very soon, but unfortunately has had that issue, has a few issues then, a few spins then unfortunately in the sector 3 in this part of the circuit I think there as well. Then Mumford's got himself past Reflection into the points paying positions once again. Then Mumford, of course, the highest runner who has made a pit stop, a scheduled pit stop as well for Mumford. As we've got more pit stop action, then here comes Gordo and here comes Equaz into the box, then calling it a day then on the 15 lap old medium compound tyres. Camaro has stayed out then up into P2, then Coop has stayed out as well, then Sickers Muck up into P4. Then where will the Aston Martin and the Williams come out in respect to the rest of the field? Then Lewis Riley's gone through, but unfortunately not in the car just yet. Then Ginger Rage up into P6, back up where he started then, as Farf has gone for a move down the inside then, and here comes Mumford as well. Then Mumford's gone through then on the fresh medium compound tyres. Ginger Rage then has been promoted back down from where he started. Younglights got a 3-second penalty, and goodness me, in the lead of this race. Then unfortunately for Younglights, then he's got himself a penalty to try and negotiate as well. Then goodness me, Ginger Rage and Mumford then having a bit of a dicey run through the first sector, and they've themselves sorted, thankfully. But so far so good then here in US of A. Then lap 16 of 56 then. There is still quite a few laps to go, but so far they have done a brilliant job then here in Austin. Far unfortunately, like I said, for Lewis, and hopefully he can get himself back in the car soon, because he's just he's powerless to the cars that are not ghosting. But Farf then has got DRS then, but of course Mumford has got the fresher tyres, and here he goes then. He's got himself past the Alpine then into turn 12 then. Oh dear, Farf's trying to go for a dive then, but unfortunately Mumford has got much more stopping power, I think, on the fresher tyres as well. Then Ginger Rage and Reflection are battling side by side then through into sector 3. There's a Red Bull that of Styles involved in that as well then, as Reflection is trying to get himself down the inside here in sector 3 then as well. Then he's got himself moved up into P8 then, soon to be P7 then, with Lewis unfortunately not in the car, so hopefully he can get, so like I say, he can get himself back in very soon. Then both the Aston Martins are in a bit of a battle here as well then. And Tori then and Gordo, of course, both have pitted then, but Gordo is on 5 lap younger tyres here than his teammate then, and potentially looking to make a move very soon then. Oh, goodness me, Farther's in the pit lane. Farther's done 16 laps on the hard compound tyres and calling it a day, which is very interesting stuff indeed. Where are we then? Lewis Riley has been passed then by his teammate, of course, Ginger Rage and Ghost Cars that are getting in the way here. Both the Aston Martins have stayed. No, they haven't. They have switched the order then, have Aston Martin. Gordo has got himself through up into P10, or make that P9 now, with Lewis Riley then demoted down the order in the McLaren. Sorry, Far coming out of the pit lane on the soft compound tyres ahead of his teammate then of R2 beat. Then interesting stuff indeed. Then Equaz has got himself past Lewis Riley as well. Then of course Equaz has just pitted a lap ago now. And Tori, goodness me, then almost into the back of Gordo then as we go through into Sector 2. And they're going to go side by side through the hairpin here as well. There's contact between the Aston Martins. Then there is no love lost then between the Aston Martin pair, it looks like, here tonight. As we go on to the back straight, then DRS available. Then here comes Ekmaz passing Tori then into P10. Then on the fresh medium compound tyres. Then down towards the heavy braking zone, making sure you get your braking zone right as well, especially in this battling pack. And Ginger Rage and Ekmaz then side by side through turn 12 then. As we go round the outside then, I think Ekmaz has got the move done, has it? Yes, he has then, and Ginger Age unfortunately then is going to be caught up in all of this as we go through into Sector 3 then, and Tori gone down the inside then. Gordo's got himself past Styles then, of course Styles yet to pit in this Grand Prix as well on the hard compound tyre then, and this traffic is causing a bit of chaos then, I think, for those who have pitted. Then Coop is into the pit lane, as is Camaro Racer, then Sicker's up into P2 on the hard compound tyre. Mumford then will take P3 back. Tori then has got himself a 3-second penalty. Then Reflection yet to pit then up into P6. Then Coop then is into the pits as well then for the Williams team. Then Gordo then is trying to get himself past Reflection, I think, here up the inside then into turn 1. Then yes, he's done it. Then up into P4 now for Gordo, of course, with the top 2 yet to pit. Then potentially Gordo could be promoting himself into a podium place, back up into a podium place, I should say here. Reflection staying up, then P5 for him. Then Kamara Racer coming out of the pit lane has got himself a penalty, unfortunately. Then here comes Tori then trying to get himself past Styles through the S's section. Not an overtaking place, but that's better, says Mushroom. Good stuff indeed. Right then, there we go then. Ginger Age then is down to P9 then. Lewis Riley has rejoined then. Good stuff indeed. And unfortunately, well, his AI car has pitted him actually for medium compound tyres, so maybe that is a good maybe that's a good thing. Equaz has passed Reflection then for P5 then, and we've got, oh my god, we've got Tori then just muscling his way through. Then that is over ambitious then from the Aston Martin, let's say the least. But Reflection of course has yet to pit. Then Tori is on 10 lap younger tyres then, and now Styles is looking to mount a charge then on the Aston Martin. My goodness me then, very late on the brakes indeed. I think Ginger Age has been passed by Lucas Percy. Yes, he has then. And Lucas Percy then trying to get himself back into this race. And of course, having had that spin after putting on a fresh set of boots as well then. Mushroom has said, that's better. Good stuff indeed. Unfortunately, Mushroom, I don't think that's your channel. So there we go. Right then, yellow flags then for the for Racing Bull. Then unfortunately for Kiki, Kiki is still soldiering on, I think, out there on the same medium compound tyres. So he's doing a great job out there. Reflection and Kamara have got themselves past Ginger Ray's, and Ginger Ray's had a bit of a problem there somewhere at the penultimate turn and gone off the circuit. There we go then. Oh, Mushroom has changed his channel, that's why. Good stuff indeed. Farth has set the fastest lap of the race then. Good stuff from Farth then. He's on the soft compound tyres though, so they will start to drop off in the next few laps already then, it seems, because they, of course, those soft compound tyres we saw then do only about 9 laps then, but they did start to drop off around lap 5 or 6 then, so it's not going to be too long before those soft compound tyres need to come off that car. Reflection's under pressure then from Kamara Racer, who of course has pitted then. Reflection is staying out then on 18 lap old medium compound tyres, is holding up the Racing Bull then for the time being, going through sector 1 then, heading on to lap 19 then. We're already on lap 19, sorry, I can't get the numbers right, but there we go then. So then out in front we've got Young Lights then, who I think is not covered off then from Mumford then, because Mumford is now about 15 seconds or so away then from the race lead. Then a pit stop is going to be about 24 seconds around here, I would imagine, something like that. Then Kamara Racer got himself past Reflection for that P9 position. Reflection holding him off for as long as possible there, but unfortunately it is going to have to end at some point for Reflection on those old tyres as well then, and he's now down to P10, being passed by the Racing Bull then of Kamara Racer. Then back underway. Race leader is in the pit lane. Young Lights is in the pit lane now. Kiki is pit, sorry, for medium compound tyres. and is back underway. He's still on the lead lap. Then Sickers Muck has also pitted as well then from P2. So now we're going to see a bit of a change. Then Mumford is going to take back the lead, I think, here, and up into P1, back up into P1. Then Young Lights come out of the pit lane. Where will he be in respect to the rest of the order? It's going to be close out of the pit lane here between Gordo and between Equaz. Then into turn 1 then, and Equaz has just about got it then. Young Lights coming out in P4 then. My goodness me. Right then, Young Lights then on the freshest tyres then of the grid. Then we've got more pit stop action, and Ginger Rage is in the pit lane to get himself onto a set of hard compound tyres and back underway then down to P14. Lewis Riley, I think, is back in the car, thankfully now. KD has gone through, then Ginger Rage down to P16. Then Justify will get out, will be behind the McLaren, I think, then, as we get ourselves onto lap 20 now of 56. Flying through these laps then with brilliant racing so far then for this field. Then they've done a fantastic job. Then I've probably jinxed it now, unfortunately, but so far it has been absolutely brilliant out there. Mushroom said it's an old laptop, it's all good. There we go then, good stuff indeed. Then Young Lights has got himself past Equaz then already then on his freshest of fresh medium compound tyres as well then, heading into sector 3 now, and now trying to put the pressure on Gordo. Then Gordo, of course, well, technically Young Lights then would be a net race leader then as it stands. Then of course he's got 9 lap younger tyres than Mumford, and 4 lap younger tyres than this man here, Equaz, and the Aston Martin ahead of him of Gordo. And so he's going to be looking to get himself past Gordo as quickly as possible, then to try and challenge Mumford as quickly as possible as well for the race lead once again. Then have a quick peek at the pens, says Mushroom as well. Then let's have a look at the pens then for Mushroom. 3 seconds then for our race leader currently then with Mumford. Then Young Lights has got 3 seconds as well, then looking to promote him up into P2 then with Gordo then under pressure then, and into turn 1. I think Young Lights is going to make this a formality as well then. He's got the inside then for turn 1, then he's got the position of P2, and into turn 1 he's up into P2 then, comfortably done indeed. Then 6 seconds then for Tori in the Aston Martin. Then he is going to be under pressure very soon from Young Lights, from Percy I should say. Then Kamara Racer and Styles, then Styles I think yet to pit in this Grand Prix on the hard compound tyres. Then he's got 6 seconds as well. Then yellow flags for a McLaren. Then it's a McLaren of Lewis Riley. Unfortunately for Lewis Riley's had an issue at the final turn then, has Lewis. KD has got himself past Reflection. I think Reflection's in the pit lane, that's why. And that is correct then. Lewis Riley's got... was it Ginger Age who had an issue there? No, I think it was Lewis Riley. Then Lewis Riley then has got himself back underway. Then unfortunately for Lewis, then that disconnect has really hindered him, let's just say that, with the situation then. But he was running up into in the podium places almost then before that disconnection then. And unfortunately, his AI car pitted him as well then, which to be fair, it wasn't too bad from the AI because it was getting towards that pit stop window then. But unfortunately that he's promoted him down to P14 as it stands then, which hopefully he can get himself back underway, back up to pace, and try and challenge once again. Then that is the penalty situation. Then everybody apart from Reflection, Coop, Lucas Percy, Equaz and Gordo have got penalties, so there's quite a penalty focused field as it stands at the moment. Still most good on pens, says Mushroom as well then. Well, good on pens is in there trying to get them, I think, but so far that is just the way that it is. Ginger Age has been passed by Justify on medium compound tyres, so I think we'll have a bit more pace than Ginger Age as it stands, and Ginger Age doesn't need to be too worried about that, I would imagine, at this stage. Sick as Muck has pitted again for hard compound tyres. Then he's up. He got himself up into he's running in P2 at one point before that pit stop, or at that pit stop, and he's gone for the hard compound tyres again. Then so he's done 22 laps, 25 laps or so, or no, 21 laps, 22 laps on the hard compound tyre. Maybe going for a second stint on the hards and then going for the mediums to the final stint. We will have to wait and see then what he's going to be up to then. But looking good so far then for Sick as Muck. Then Kamara Racer are trying to put the pressure on Lucas Percy. He's got 7 lap older tyres. Then has the kick salver. Then unfortunately that spin is going to be adding to the tyre wear, adding to the frustration then for Lucas Percy as well then at this stage. But so far he has got himself back up into the points paying position very nicely indeed. Out in front, here comes Young Lights then. Young Lights has got 9 lap younger medium compound tyres and he's challenging for the race lead down the back straight. He's got the race lead, passing Mumford, then down the back straight with some DRS as well. Then heading into the braking zone, he is ahead of the Haas then and takes the race lead back away then from Mumford. Of course, these two started on the front row of the grid then, and they are looking pretty good indeed so far on bit varying strategies, I would have to say. But there we go. Kamara Racer passing Lucas Percy then for that P6 position, and now can he chase down Tory as well then, who's on 11 lap old medium compound tyres. Percy, Tory and Mumford of course pitted a lot earlier than the rest of the field then, but I think they're on a different strategy then compared to the rest of the field as well then, so we might see some varying strategies through this Grand Prix. That was what I was trying to say, but there we go then. Mumford then is 1 second behind Young Lights then. Young Lights is going to be trying to get himself out of that DRS window, but I think Mumford has just about held on then up towards turn 1 then. Can he hold on for the next sector as well then, as we go into sector 2? That's where he's going to need that DRS down the back straight then. Styles has called it a day then on 22 lap old hard compound tyres, and he's into the pit lane now. So is Farf then. Farf has done 6 laps on the soft compound tyres, which shows that they do not last very long around here as well. I will not read that out, Mushroom, in case it does curse people. But there we go then. So Mushroom has predicted somebody to win this race, and I will not say who it was because that will be disastrous for them probably. Right then, Styles then onto medium compound tyres and out at turn 1. It's very tight there with Reflection. Then he's got himself Reflection got himself past. Then Astrodron has picked up a penalty into sector 3. Then coming through into the final couple of corners. Then Farf out of the pits. Then onto medium compound tyres. He's done 2 stops then as Farf already then, and now onto a fresh set of medium compounds. Back underway. Geeky then is still on the lead lap thankfully, but unfortunately he's going to be under pressure very soon I think then from Young Lights who's storming through the field then very quickly indeed. He's got himself a 1.7 second gap in the lead of this race already. Of course he's got younger tyres as well than Mumford and the rest of the field, to be fair, down to P13, so he is going to be looking pretty good then at this stage of the race then. Of course the tyres start to drop off then at the end of the stint then, and he did up to stay out then, so potentially if that carries on then in the rest of the race then KD battling with RTB for P10, then he's up into the points paying positions now. Is KD at his home Grand Prix and looking good indeed. Say it was me, says Rocket Lee. Well, there you go then. Rocket Lee looking to win this race then. Unfortunately, to be fair, Rocket Lee, we would love to have you in this race. Oh dear, as Lewis Riley's had an issue then into sector 3. Not sure if there was contact there or not then, but now he's going to try and get himself back on the way then. Reflection's trying to go around the outside here. Favre's picked up a 3 second, but then Tory and Camaro are battling into turn 1. Camaro has lost out then to the Aston Martin for the time being then. Camaro's on the fresher tyres as well then, so that might switch back round in the next few laps or so, a few corners or so. Lewis Riley under pressure now from Reflection and Styles then as we go through up towards turn 1 once again then. Lewis Riley then trying to break the toe then. Goodness me, that is well, yes, I suppose it's not in the braking zone, so it's technically allowed then, but that was weaving to be weaving, let's just say that. Right then, oh dear, Ginger Age, Farf and Justify then involved in a fight then. Goodness me, 2 admins and a Justify. They need some justice then, does Justify, does Farf and Ginger Age then, but Farf has got himself through and up into P16 I think there. Yes, it was Rocket, says Mushroom as well then. Tory and Kamara then are switching places again then, as this time I think, yes, down the back straight then. Kamara is up ahead and into P5 then. He's got 5 seconds then to try and chase down the top 4 then. Sick as Muck has got himself past Lucas Percy. Has he? Or has he? No, Lucas Percy's got the inside then, trying to defend then, and round the outside goes Sick as Muck. There's contact between the Ferrari and the kick Sauber then. I'm not quite sure Lucas Percy was too fond of that move then from Sick as Muck then, and again more contact as well then. Coop's trying to go through now as well then on the inside then in the Williams then, and goodness me then, this is going to get very tight indeed then. Cooper's had to back out of that and then unfortunately losing a corner, losing the car I should say then. Sick as Muck has got a 10-second penalty for gaining a place then by corner cutting. Hungry Styles has passed Lewis Riley on the fresh medium compound tyres then for Styles then, looking to get himself into the challenge then with KD and R2B then for the final points paying position as it stands. But of course there is quite a few varying strategies out there, as we can see from the difference in entire life as well then. So we're only at the halfway point almost for this race then. We've got another 3 laps before we get to the halfway point, but we're nearly there. So far so good then. Yellow flags then for Red Bull. It's Astra John who's had an issue in the S's section of sector 3 then. Lewis Riley and Hungry Styles and Reflection all involved in the problem at turn 1, and my goodness me then, that is well, not good news then for those drivers as well then. They've had a bit of an issue somewhere, and once again then trying to get themselves sorted, it looks like again then, as they go through into the slaloming sector 1 then. Right then, out in front was Favre's picking another penalty then. Mumford then is trying to catch up to Gordo here. He's trying to hold on to Gordo, I think actually is the role reversed, because Gordo's got younger tyres and we've got more yellow flags. And it's for Astrojon again then at the final corner then for the Red Bull. Then he's had another issue then, unfortunately. Has got himself back underway quickly enough then. Good stuff indeed. Right then, Young Lights is on a charge, and he's got a 5.6 second gap then to Equaz, 2.6 seconds back then to the Aston Martin of Gordo here for Equaz as well. Then Mumford then putting the pressure on for that final podium place as it stands then onto lap 26 of 56, 30 laps remaining at the end of this one. We are almost at the halfway point then of this Grand Prix. Coop then is trying to put the pressure on Sick as Muck then. Both of these drivers have opted for hard compound tyres in the second stint then as well, and Sick as Muck then is looking pretty good indeed then in the Ferrari. Then Lucas Percy has had a bit of a problem then with Sick as Muck, it looks like that as well then. So they have had that to resolve, let's just put it that way. Right then, Rocket is put some laughing emojis in, and go on, McLaren lads, says Mushroom as well then. Currently, McLaren lads are out of the points at this stage, but of course they are looking to try and get themselves back in the points very soon, I would imagine. Reflection and KD then switching places, then KD down to P12, then Styles almost into the back of KD there as well. Then, goodness me, then KD and Styles then almost a big collision then into turn one there, but I think Styles was a bit unsighted then with the DRS then, and KD of course without the DRS then was going to be a bit slower than the Red Bull car. Now heading through the S's of Sector 1, then here comes Mumford on the back straight, then down towards Sector 3 then, but unfortunately the DRS not powerful enough, or the straight not long enough then for Mumford to make the move for P3 then at this stage. Ginger Age picks up a penalty unfortunately for him then. Sick as Muck has caught up to SG Tory, then Coop as well then in this battle, and then Lucas Percy soon to be in this battle as well, I imagine, as we go through Sector 3 for these these four drivers as well then. Sick as Muck then, and I think Coop, I think Tory might be looking to make a pit stop soon as well then, because we've seen the medium compact tyre runners having pitted around this time of this race, and goodness me, KD with a lunge then on Lewis Riley. Then there's contact with Styles' car, then the ghost of Lewis Riley as well then. My days, they are definitely fighting. I'm not quite sure what they're fighting for at this stage of the race, because they would be probably better off working together to try and get themselves closer to the top 10 at this point of the Grand Prix. But fair enough. Lucas Percy is into the pit lane. Tory's been passed by Sick as Muck, then up into turn 1. Then Lucas Percy has called it today. Medium compound tyres going off that kick salve. Then I think he's done medium so far in this race. So he's got a wing change there as well. My goodness me then. So there definitely was some sort of issue then. Styles is in the pits as well then. Well, no, he's not. Sorry, Lewis Riley's in the pits as well then. He's only done 10 laps on the, or 9 laps on the medium compound tyres for Lewis Riley then. So unfortunately, I'm not quite sure if that's a scheduled stop or not. Then hard compound tyres going on the kick salve. But then Ginger Age has gone through. He's battling with Justify into turn 1, then he's got himself past Justify into turn 1 as well then. Lucas Percy then out in this fight as well, and goodness me, I'm not sure that's where Lucas Percy would like to be. Lewis Riley then onto the medium, he's on very old medium compound tyres then. Goodness me, that's very bad news. Justify's got a 3-second penalty then, trying to keep up with Ginger Race then through the S's section of Sector 1 then, onto lap 27 of 56 here, almost at the halfway point of this race then. One more lap to go then till the halfway point. Let them fight, it's fun, says Mushroom. Yeah, sure. Right then, yeah, well, let them fight, it's fun, can lead to, oh dear, they're all out. So here we go then. Coop then is next to try and line up and move his past SG Tory as well then, to try and keep within the DRS then of the Ferrari of Sick as Muck then. I think that's going to be very important then for Coop to try and pull himself along then in this race. And yellow flags out there for a problem for Kiki then. Kiki's had another issue at the top of turn 1 then, the same place we had an issue at the I think he had an issue at the formation out there as well, didn't he? And dearie me, then getting himself back around the way. Then Justifies being passed by Lucas Percy. Then Lucas Percy up into P15. And now next target is Ginger Rage here as well. Then goodness me, Ginger Rage is going to see the full wrath then of Percy as we go through into lap 28 now. And there we go. He's trying to chase down KD at this stage as well. KD, I think, peeling away then into the pit lane then for KD. Tory's into the pits onto the hard compound tyres. Then where is Reflection? Where is Hungry Styles in this battle then with the Aston Martin? And there they are then in the background. And Styles has got himself past Reflection, has he? I think. Goodness me, there's contact then. You can't turn in when there's a car already there. I don't think they realised that then, but there we go. Right then, hard compound tyres going on the Aston Martin, and he's going to go side by side through the Colt, and that's Hungry Styles, I think, gone for a spin there. Yes, he has. And I don't think Tory then was very nice there to Styles, let's just put it that way. Out of the pits comes KD, then hard compound tyres going on the Haas, then as is the same for Lewis Riley as well. Then Lewis Riley, I think, has done 2 stops in the 2 laps then as well. The Ginger Age has got himself past Percy's got himself past Ginger Age. I think Lewis Riley had to pit again for medium compound tyres then, which was 17 laps old then, so I don't think that was going to be a good strategy then for the McLaren. Unfortunately, has got himself back underway then. Kiki has been lapped now by Lights as well then, but if he can keep up with Lights then and potentially pit at a different time then, and we'll hope that there's a VSC or something like that where Lights pits, then he can stay out then and try and catch up then later on then. Tory and Reflection are battling away then now. I think Tory's got himself past Reflection then. Unfortunately for Styles then, he got himself a bit blindsided then by the Aston Martin, which was I don't think it was very wise to go through there side by side, let's just put it that way, for either driver. But there we go then. Now Styles then trying to put the pressure on Ginger Age, then Lucas Percy is 2 seconds back. There's more yellow flags for somebody else then. It's Kiki again. No, it's not Kiki. It's I think it's Astra John then, who's had an issue somewhere as well then. Goodness me, unfortunately not going the way then for the Red Bull driver, or the Racing Bull driver I should say then at this stage of the race then. There we go then. Mumford then is now trying to put the pressure on Gordo then. We'll have a look at that then, because Tory then is under pressure from Reflection. Favre's joined the fight as well here in P10 then. RTB is 1.4 seconds back then. Lucas Percy then, fresh hard compound tyres then on the kicks out, then looking to get himself back in the points. Technically he's already in the points then with the penalty situation for the drivers ahead of him as well. Percy will feel the wrath, the wrath of the ginger one, says Mushroom. Oh god, more issues then. Astra John's off the circuit at the same place. He's been off there already before in this Grand Prix. Unfortunately, those hard compound tyres then are not working to the optimum temperature for him as it stands then. Mumford couldn't get himself past Gordo then down the back straight then into turn 12. Then he's now stays P4 for the time being then. 18 laps then on the medium compound tyres. I think Mumford might be looking to think about a pit stop very soon in this race. How long will the hard compound tyres go? Can they go to the end for the Haas driver? Then we'll have to wait and see then. From here, I think it will be a bit of a stretch indeed. We've got some more moves then. Hungry Styles has passed Ginger Age then for P13. Then Hungry Styles up into P13. Ginger Age down to P14. Then unfortunately, Mushroom is going to have to, Styles is going to feel the wrath then. The wrath, of Ginger Age, as Mushroom would say. So there we go then. But Styles then trying to keep up with Lucas Percy then, who's almost in DRS range of R2 beat then for P11 here, rounding the long, the multiple right-handers then, which are technically different corners, but all really one corner. And now into the penultimate turn then, making sure you don't go too wide then to keep yourself within track limits then. And Lucas Percy has done very nicely. And now can he mount a charge then in towards turn 1? Hungry Styles picks up a penalty, unfortunately for him then. But there's lots of penalties out there. 1, 2, 3, 4 drivers without penalties then. Everybody else has already got one. Lucas Percy cannot catch up enough then to make a move into turn 1 then on the Alpine, but goodness me, the Alpine goes very, very wide there, and it could be potentially, this is going to get dicey indeed then if they're going to try and go for it side by side through here. We've already seen that not work then for an Aston Martin and a Red Bull. It might not work for a Kick Sauber and an Alpine as well, or Kick Alpine as we call them in ALR, that is. But there we go. But actually, to be fair, Kick Alpine and Kick Sauber are not doing too badly then Alpine are not doing too badly in the championship. Goodness me. Right then, Favre's past Reflection then into turn 11 then. Now we've got Percy passing at the Alpine of R2 beat as well here. Then Hungry Styles in close proximity. Then Favre has been passed or repassed by Reflection. Reflection back up into P9 then, trying to chase down the Aston Martin of Tory then into turn 12, but not quite then for Reflection. Lucas Percy has got himself past R2 beat and up into P11 now, trying to chase down the points paying positions now in 3.8 seconds ahead of them as it stands as well here. R2 beat down to P12, then Hungry Styles then is trying to get himself through. Then Hungry Styles is trying to get himself through here, but R2 beat is struggling and trying to hold off the Red Bull as well. Going through into sector 3, then Ginger Age is just waiting in close proximity then for anything that's going to go awry then for these drivers. Then he's trying to go down the inside then of Styles, and Astra John's picked up a 3-second penalty then as we go through into the penultimate corner. Then it stays status quo, but it is very close indeed between these drivers as well. Then goodness me, it seems like all the battling's going on outside, or just in the bottom of the points, or just outside the points at this stage. But maybe that will change then later on in this race. Mumford still can't get himself past Gordo then at this point of the race as well. Then lap 31 of 56, then 25 laps remaining at the end of this one. Kick Alpine, let's go, says Rocket League. Yes, indeed, then. This is the one, then. This is the one, then. Here comes Mumford, then, in, unfortunately, not either of them, not a kick or an Alpine, but he's going for the move into P3, then down the inside into turn 12, then has he got it, or can Gordo fight back, then not quite, then he's up into P3, then is Mumford, sorry, and Mumford, then 20 laps on the medium compound tyres, or 21 laps at the end of this one, then it's going to be a pretty good stint indeed on the mediums. Then we've seen them only do about 9 laps in some cases, then at the very first stint. Of course, the fuel loads are getting lighter in this point of the Grand Prix then compared to the race start then, so potentially that's going to be less pressure or less weight on the tyres throughout these especially long corners that are very high pace as well then, so that is very good stuff indeed. Then Hungry Starvis has passed R2 then for P12, and yes, he has done good stuff indeed as well then. Called it. Pit stop action then, not Mumford, sorry, Gordo. Gordo's gone in early then. Gordo's 5 lap younger tyres than Mumford, but he's gone into the pits earlier as well then than the Haas, that is. And let's see what the strategy is going to call then for Gordo, sorry. And there is more as hard compound tyres going on that Aston Martin then potentially to the end of the race from here. That's going to be a bit of a stretch, I think. Then 25 laps or so to go, 25 laps to go. Then that's going to be interesting stuff indeed to see where it's going to be then for Gordo at the end of this Grand Prix then. Out of the pit lane, he's ahead of his teammate then by a margin at least. That's going to be fair enough. But he's got himself out on in a bit of fresh air then. 10 seconds to Coop then. Of course, Coop's done 14 laps now on his hard compound tyres as we watch Gordo going through the S's section of Sector 1. And brilliant stuff indeed. Nice Meto, if I can. Sorry. Oh, right, yes, okay. Get yourself back racing, says Mushroom. Yes, we want to have we want to have both of you back racing, to be fair. But in the meantime, you're welcome to pester the commentators in the comment section, whichever day you want to be pestering. We'll be commentating, so you do that. Lewis Riley set the fastest lap of race, and good stuff from Lewis Riley. Then getting himself back into this one and getting himself back up to pace as well. Then after the difficulties that he's had, we've had a problem then for a racing bull. I think then it's Kiki. Then there he is, back out on circuit, and. Yeah, okay. Kiki is having issues. Let's just say that, to say the least, I should say. But right then, hope he can get himself back underway and back sorted. Then Equaz then 13 seconds off the race lead. Then he's into the pit lane as well then. So he is calling it a day. Then Lewis Riley's got a 3-second battery. Then the penalties, like I said, are rolling in here. Mumford is carrying on then on his medium compound tyres, 22 laps. And I think he did a mammoth stint then in a previous 100% race. And of course, we had the break weeks in between then, so I've completely forgotten what the previous race was. Well, I know what it was. It was Singapore, but I can't remember what the stints were like. But I think Mumford did a pretty mammoth stint on medium compound tyres in Singapore as well then. But he's now under pressure from Camaro Racer, who's got 7 lap younger tyres. Soon, Sick as Muck and Coop will be in the fight as well then. Yellow flags. Yellow is for Kiki again. Then Kiki's causing yellow flags for fun out there. Gordo's got himself into P6 and Equaz out of the pit lane then is right behind the Aston Martin then as well. Then these two, of course, were in a fight for P2 before the stops as well then. And goodness me, Ginger Age then taking an interesting line around turn 1 then, or through turn 1. R2 has got himself up into P13 then, and Ginger Age then has lost out then to that to the Alpine, I think, going through into sector 1. Then there's a ghost car then of Kiki, I believe, that is just having a bit of a spin for fun out there. And so long as he doesn't cause any VSCs or safety cars, then that's going to be all right then. But you're probably better off just getting himself back to the pit lane and quitting and taking the license point for that. But there we go. Fingers crossed, says Rocket Lee. And you're doing a great job, Alex, as always. Well, that's very nice to hear, because I'm not. But there we go. So, right then, Ginger Age and R2B in a fight. And they are going down the back straight. I'm not quite sure who's got DRS or who hasn't, but it looks like the McLaren has got that rear wing wide open then. And Ginger Age powers down to powers up to P13, but powers down to the braking zone then into P13, passing R2B for the time being then as well. Then Equaz is trying to get himself into Gordo's DRS range then, but oh dear, might have just lost out there. That 1 second has ticked over. Sick as Muck and Kamara Racing then are now challenging Mumford then. They are the next they're the next target then for that podium places then as it stands. Of course, we do expect some more pit stops to come then, especially for the top 5 in this race, I would imagine, but we'll have to wait and see how it's going to unfold, of course. But press my attention button for Kiki. Yes, well, unfortunately for Kiki, then I don't think he's attentioning anything as it stands. Then we've got more yellow flags for Kiki then as well. Then, unfortunately, that we'll just have to hope that those yellow flags don't turn into something more serious then, because that would be well, it would affect the race then we're having. It's been a brilliant race so far then, and yes, we're just going to have to hope that Kiki can make it back to the pit lane then and get himself sorted and back underway. Lucas Percy has passed Favre, I think, then, or the other way round. Pretty sure Lucas Percy got himself past Favre, then Sickers Mucker's got himself past Kamara Racer then for P3 then, and up into the podium places as it stands on track then is Lewis Riley with the fastest lap of the race so far. And Kiki's got a 10-second penalty for 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and I think that is yeah, that's a pit and quit then from Kiki. Then unfortunately, I think that's actually his third pit and quit then, which unfortunately will mean a penalty then for the next race for Kiki as well then, which is a bit of a shame then. But yeah, unfortunately, well, I keep on saying unfortunately, but well, it's up to the driver at the end of the day, isn't it? So there we go. Sickers Muck then looking to now trying to challenge for P2 then. Oh dear, we've had a problem then for Red Bull, and it's Astra John then who has gone off at the penultimate corner. Then pit stop for Kamara Racer, and he's calling it a day then on the medium compound tyres. Then we have got about 21 laps to go then, so potentially the hard compound tyre will be able to get to the end of the race from here, you would imagine. Goodness me, Sickers Muck and Mumford side by side through turn one. Then Sickers Muck has gone through. Kamara out of the pit lane, well, not out of the pit lane just yet. Then where will he be then in terms of Gordo and Equaz? He's behind those two. Where will he be then in terms of SG Tory? Then here he goes then out of the pit lane up the hill then, and Tory then it's going to be close indeed then between himself and the Racing Bull. Then there is Kamara, then he is ahead in P7, but under 1 second is the gap now with Tory. They're going through turn one a lot quicker than the Racing Bull. They're coming out of the pit lane and now through the SS section. Then Kamara needs to get those hard compound tyres warmed up pretty quickly then to be able to get himself back underway. And there's a Red Bull then that's doing the same thing. So unfortunately for Kiki, he has pit and quit then, but now we've got somebody else then taking over the shenanigans as well. Then Justify's had an issue at the final turn as well then, it looks like. Justify then has, yes, he's had to get the car rectified and restarted. Has lost a left end plate there as well then, it looks like, for the Ferrari, unfortunately. But he's done 20 laps on the medium compound tyres. Maybe he should be thinking about a pit stop anyway to replace that front wing as well this time. But this time Mumford then is, Mumford's holding on then to Sickers Muck for the time being. Young Lights is in the pit lane now, and I think this might be his final stop of the Grand Prix here. Sickers Muck could take the race lead here as well then, which will be pretty good stuff indeed then for Sickers Muck. Skilly has said how you doing as well then, and welcome then to the stream then, Skilly. Young Lights then is looking to make his second and final pit stop, I think, of this Grand Prix. Mumford is also into the pits as well then, so Mumford I think is going to be calling it a day final. 25 laps on the medium compound tyres around here is pretty good stuff indeed. Sickers Muck does take the lead then, but of course Young Lights is going to come out of the pit lane very close indeed as well. Mumford then is into the box then. Coop's gone through then, 18 laps then for Coop then. I think he might have to stop before the end of this Grand Prix as well. Gordo doesn't have to stop. Equaz doesn't have to stop again, I don't think. Mumford's gone for more medium compound tyres. Did he use the hard compound tyres in this race? I'm not quite sure. He's come out in P8 then, I think, behind Tory, behind Kamara Racer. Where will he be able to get himself back up? He's going to do another 20 laps then, or 21 laps then on the medium compound tyres to the end of this Grand Prix. Unfortunately for Mumford, I think the strategy has not been favourable then for the Haas driver then, who of course got himself on pole position here after the wet qualifying that we had then at the beginning of this session, the beginning of this event, and unfortunately it's not going his way then in the dry conditions as it stands. Potentially those medium compound tyres will work wonders for him this time as well. Then we'll have to wait and see. Then he's in DRS then of Tory and of Kamara Racer then. Unfortunately for Kamara, then he came out of the pit lane. Then he was a second ahead of Tory, but the gap then of his when he was warming up his tyres then has of course closed in then for the Aston Martin, and now DRS available then for Mumford and for Tory behind him. Reflections passing Lucas Percy then for that P9 position. Then up into P9 goes the Mercedes driver. Then Hungry Styles has passed Farf then with some DRS then down towards the sector 3, I should say then. Goodness me, I'm getting my corners mixed up then. There we go. So far so good then. Young Lights then is 1 second away from the race lead. Then he's got himself back in contention then with Sickers Muck. Of course, he has got 16 lap younger tyres then now, is it? That was right. Right, there we go. And he is going to be challenging then for the race lead once again then very shortly then. Unfortunately hasn't led every lap of this race then, but he has got himself on the front row then from P2 tonight then, and now up into a potential race lead very soon again. Tory, Mumford then battling away then in towards turn 1 then, and looking to see, we've got Mumford then on the medium compound tyres, and he's got himself through very quickly and very easily indeed as well then, with the aid of some DRS as well. Then Mumford, not Mumford, but Percy is past reflection for that P9 position. These two carrying on their fight then. Farfus into the pit lane onto a set of soft compound tyres again then. Can Sicker's Muck go to the end then? I would imagine he would not be able to. He could try, as Kamara's picked up a penalty, unfortunately for Kamara then. He could try, then Asprodron's also in the pits, and a new front wing for the Red Bull then. Farf onto the soft compound tyres again, so I don't think Farf can get anything from there. Young Lights has taken the lead, then back up into P1 then for the green machine then, and he will be storming off into the distance, I think. There's Farf has got a 3-second penalty then, unfortunately for Farf. Yes, Young Lights then is on much fresher tyres. Then Gordo and Coop then battling away. Then Coop has held on to P3 for the time being then, but Gordo is on much fresher hard compound tyres as well. As we go through sector 3 then, this is where you can take different lines through this complex of corners then, and can Gordo go for the switch back up and under then, or up and under and over and under now around the long right-handers as well, and Gordo has done it then. Brilliant move indeed then, with Coop then having to yield then to the Aston Martin then, and brilliant stuff indeed. Both drivers then keeping themselves very good margins for error then as well then, with the other driver as well on the outside or on the inside, and well done indeed then to both Coop and Gordo then getting themselves through there unscathed as well. Fantastic stuff indeed. Mumford has set the fastest lap of the race, then he is chasing down the Williams pair, and he is going to be very quick indeed then in the next few laps or so. Then can those mediums then hold on to the end of the Grand Prix is the next question for Mumford though, and that might be the problematic question, because I'm not sure if that is going to be the case or not. Then we'll have to find out then, but that at this stage of the race he is going to be absolutely flying out there as well then, so we'll have to wait and see then how long they can hold on in this Grand Prix. 38 of 56 then. It's been absolutely epic stuff indeed then. I haven't had a break then to have a breather, but so far so good then. I'm sure I've now cursed it and someone's going to have an issue, but I'm sure I've now cursed it. But lap 38 then, it's been 38 laps of absolutely brilliant action, I should say then, going through then into the back straight, then onto the back straight I should say then for Mumford. Now lining up a move for P5 then, with some DRS assistance as well then, and a fresh set of medium compound tyres. Here he goes then down the back straight then. P5 I think is for the taking then. He's got himself past Equaz and up into P5 then as we go into the braking zone, and unfortunately for Equaz I don't think there's much he can do to fight that one as well then. Tory then couldn't get himself past Kamara Racer, then Kamara really needs to break the toe then from the Aston Martin then to try and get himself out of the fight then and focus on the fight ahead as well then for the Racing Bull. He's got 3 lap old hard compound tyres, so he's going to be looking to go to the end of the Grand Prix from here, I'm pretty sure, whereas others might start to struggle then very soon. We'll have to wait and see. Sicker's Muck then has lost out to the DRS then of Young Lights. Then Young Lights I think now looking to regain his comfortable lead that he had before the stops then in both stints then for Young Lights. Into the pits comes Coop then, 22 laps then, or 21 laps in on the hard compound tyre. He's calling it a day now, and that is it, done and dusted then for Coop then. What's it going to be then for the Williams driver then? It is medium compound tyres going on that car then, and back underway then. Where will he come out then in respect to the rest of the order? P10 it looks like then, or maybe not, maybe P11 then, as Styles has gone through then. Ginger Age is unfortunately just a bit too far back at this point of the race, but he is powering on as well then. P12 for him at the moment. Then R2 Beat is in the pits as well then. Goodness me, R2 Beat the challenge has not gone too well then here in the US of A then, but of course it might just be a track that does not favour the Alpine, unfortunately, which is hopefully he's looking forward to Brazil because that seemed to favour the Alpine for sure, didn't it? As we've got a problem then, it's another problem for Lucas Percy then, and there's a right end plate missing then for the kick Sauber. The Ginger Age has gone through, and what's happened there then, Lucas Percy, I'm not sure he was in a fight with anybody there, was he? I'm not quite sure. Where was he? But yes, unfortunately for Lucas Percy there, I'm just trying to see what's happening on my phone as well then, but oh, I've just bumped the mic. Oh god. Right then, I think he was in a fight. I'm not quite sure. I can't even tell what's going on my screen, it's too small. But there we go. So fantastic stuff indeed. So yeah, I'm not quite sure he was actually in a fight, to be fair, for Lucas Percy, but there we go. Yes, we are. That is where we are. Sorry about that, because I was doing an old person thing. Trying to focus on something, but I couldn't really do it. That just shows I'm very old. Sicker's Muck then into the pit lane. He has called it a day then on the hard compound tyres. 20 laps complete then on the hards for the Ferrari, and back out and underway then. What a move from Gordo, says Mushroom. And that is confirming that Mushroom's previous comment, can Sick as Muck go to the end, then is not the case. Then he's onto a set of medium compound tyres. Styles is into the pits as well. Then Styles calling it a day. Then on the medium compound tyres, Percy into the pits as well. Then he is pit and quit. Then has Percy then. So that is him done and dusted in this race and out of the Grand Prix as well. Then brilliant stuff indeed. Then to be fair, after you're making it 40 laps all the way through, then I thought maybe it's worth just trying to get to the end from here, because he's done the hard work, and there we go. But fair enough then. Lucas Percy out of the race as well. Then Styles then out of the pits. Then P12 for Styles. Then can he get himself back into the top 10 then with some fresh medium compound tyres? Then here comes Kamara Racer then on the charge, and he's looking for P4. Then he's got himself past Equaz, has he? He's not opened the DRS though. I'm not quite sure what's going on then for Kamara Racer, but maybe he's happy to make the move with him without the DRS open then. So he has got himself through P4, and there he goes. And brilliant stuff so far then for Kamara, then looking to get himself some good points here tonight then for the Racing Bull team. Unfortunately, his teammate has pit and quit, so he will not be scoring. They will not be scoring two sets of points. Then it's just one Racing Bull left in the race. Then same for the Kick Sauber. Then one Kick Sauber left in the Grand Prix as well, as we go through onto lap 41 of 56. Then 15 laps remaining at the end of this one. 15 minutes of action then to unfold before our very eyes as well. Then as we've got Equaz then trying to challenge then Kamara Racer and Tori then for that P4 position. Now, Sick as Muck then in P9, then fresh mediums for him. Then let's see how far up the order he can get himself as well. Then, because he's got to try and challenge then those of the Mercedes. Then those who haven't pitted, the likes of Tory might start to, his tyres might start to drop off at the end then as well. We'll have to wait and see. Then here comes Sick as Muck then looking to challenge for P8. Then here he goes. Then passing Reflection very soon, I think, into turn 1. He's got the inside then for the braking zone. Then yes, he's got himself past and up into P8 for the time being. And oh dear, a bit of a difficult turn 1 for Sick as Muck. It looks like then there's Reflection almost into the back of him there. But they have sorted themselves out then and back underway. Then Ginger Age is in the points at the moment. Mushroom might be happy about that, but I'm not quite sure. So yeah, there we go. Then 5, I think we'll have to pit again. Then those soft compound tyres will not make it past lap 10, I don't think, in this in their stint. And Farf is doing a good job of cutting every corner in the S's section, it looks like, as well there. Justify's got a 3-second penalty, unfortunately for him. Then the penalties, like I said, have been racking up then from lap 9, I think it was, where we saw quite a few drivers with penalties. They have been tumbling in then since then as well, then, as we go through the end of Sector 1 then for Styles. Then Styles has got a 5-second gap to Farf, and then he's got another 4 seconds to try and gain on Ginger Age to get himself into the points-paying position. Potentially Ginger Age, we know that Farf's going to have to pit again. Potentially Ginger Age might have to pit again as well then, so we'll have to wait and see. Then potentially Reflection as well could have to pit, so it could be a few changes still to come then in terms of the order then for the pit stop phases, let's just say that. 12 seconds the gap then out in front then. Of course, Lights has got a 3-second penalty, I believe. It's a 6-second penalty now, actually, so the gap then technically 6.5 seconds then to Gordo, but of course that could change as well then, as lap 42 has commenced. Stubborn, stupid laptops, says Mushroom. What a move from Gordo. Ginger going to stay out. He's too stubborn to pit. And he then corrects himself and says stubborn. So, yes. Well, is he too stubborn to pit then is the question. Then we'll have to find out then. And we will see in the next minute or two what the situation is going to be, because of course you have to try, what the best thing to do is maximise your new tyres to the best of their ability then, to make sure that you've got the best of the pace, then the most of the pace, most of the grip then extracted from that tyre then to the checkered flag. Then of course if you pit then with only 3 laps to go, then you probably not going to extract the best pace then from those tyres as you could have done then if you pitted about 4 or 5 laps previously from that as well. Then so we'll have to wait and see then if anybody's going to make a move for the pit lane. Then they will have to make the move in the next few laps or so to make sure they get the best out of the tyres that they're going on to, unless it's soft compound tyres, in which case you can pit on lap 52 and then potentially just try and get to the end. Then 10-second penalty for crossing the pit lane exit line for KD, unfortunately for KD. Then Sick as Muck has got himself past Coop then up into P7 then, but the penalties might be a bit of a problem then for Sick as Muck. Then he's gone purple in sector 2 then, looking good indeed, and potentially for a fastest lap here in the Ferrari then. So Coop and Sick as Muck are both pitted then on equidistant laps then, but still are in a fight then between each other then for that for those positions as well. Then they've got to try and gain then on SG Tory, then Equaz and Kamara Racer as well, potentially as well, because they are on fresh medium compound tyres then to the end of the Grand Prix. They're going to have to try and hold on to those medium compound tyres in the last few laps. I'd imagine they're not going to be at their favourable best, as Sick as Muck takes the fastest out of the race. Then Reflection is calling it a day, then he's into the pits from P9. So, what are we going to see here from Reflection then? I think soft compound tyres is pretty much a no-go, but he's gone for the soft compound tyres that are unfortunately for Reflection. I'm not sure if he's been aware of what's happening then with the soft compound tyres for the other drivers around him in this race, but the Mercedes pit wall have not helped him out very much there, unfortunately, and yes, unfortunately, he's coming out then in P12, just about then ahead of Lewis Riley, but he's going to have a mammoth, well, not mammoth, he's going to have a mammoth stint to do, let's just say, on the soft compound tyres, but he is going to have a mammoth amount of pace then in the first couple of laps or so on these soft compound tyres as well then, so hopefully he can scamper up the road then, but unfortunately, I don't think those soft compound tyres are going to feel too good then from around lap 48 then onwards, and he's still going to do another 8 laps after that as well then, so that is going to be, let's just say, a bit difficult. So there we go. Mumford then is catching up to Gordon. Then Mumford has gone on a bit of a charge here, and those medium compound tyres. Then will they be able to get to the end of the Grand Prix? Then, well, not sure they're going to be in a very nice window then at the end of that Grand Prix. But currently he's done 8 laps on them, so they're not going to be too shabby at this point. Then Tori then and Equaz are in a fight. Then Equaz has been passed by Camaro. Then Camaro is sprinted up the road. Then he's he's over 3 seconds up the road. Then from the Williams driver, he's got 9 seconds of penalties though. Unfortunately for Camaro, then that's going to be a bit of a problem. Then at the checkered flag, then currently Equaz and Coupe, both the Williams drivers, no penalties for them. The same for Gordo in P2, I should say then, and that is going to be looking promising. Unfortunately for Gordo, I don't think it will gain him any places then, because he's got himself a nice gap then of 14 seconds then, which is technically 8 seconds then, with his 6 seconds of penalties then to be added on at the end of the Grand Prix for Young Lights. But so far so good. Lewis done better than I would, said Mushroom. Well, nobody can do as good as Mushroom then in my eyes. So yeah, so well done indeed for Lewis Riley then. To be fair, of course, that disconnect was really costly because he was just about to get himself into the podium places. Then I think it was very early on in the first stint, then wasn't it? And he had made up quite a few spots. Then had Lewis Riley then, but that few laps that he was out of the session trying to get himself back in then was detrimental then to his race. And of course the AI pitted him under that ghost situation. Then there's Tori and Equaz then are battling side by side then into sector 3. Then Equaz holds on to P5 for the time being, just about that is as well then, because I think he's now under a bit more pressure then, but Tori's actually on the older tyres by 5 laps then to the Williams then, but the Williams struggling out there on the hard compound tyre. We saw Mumford then struggling on the soft compound tyre in the first stint, then potentially the Williams is struggling on the hard compound tyres at this stage of the race. Then Mumford's picked up a penalty as well, just as I said that, and Styles has got himself into the points paying positions then, passing Farf. Then Farf started to struggle on the soft compound tyres here, I think, unfortunately then for the Alpine driver. And there you go then. But there we go. Mushroom and Rocket Lee, we need to get you back racing. There we go. That's all I have to say. Right then, into turn 1 then, Tori looks to shake for a move, but not quite then. And I don't think it's going to be putting off Equaz too much, because Equaz is a league racing veteran at this point now in his league racing career, that is. So yeah, so he's been around the block then as Equaz, and he's not going to fall for that as we go through then onto lap 45 then. 11 laps remaining then at the end of this one. Then we are flying through. We've actually flown through this race pretty quickly indeed so far. I probably jinxed it now, but there we go. At least then I can have a break then as a safety car. But Mumford then looking to line up that move then for P2 here on the circuit. Then down the back straight, DRS available then for the Haas. Then as we go down towards turn 12, then let's see, can he make a move? Can he get close enough for a move? And I don't think he can, unfortunately, at this point of the lap. That is the straight not long enough then for Mumford. Tori's got himself past Equaz then for P5, then Equaz dropping down to P6 as it stands. To be fair, sorry, my voice is going again already. To be fair, I've made it 45 laps then out of 56 then, so it's not too bad. Better than just it faltering on lap 1 then out of 31 then on Monday. But there we go then. To be fair to Equaz, I was going to say then, he doesn't have to worry too much then, because the penalty situation for drivers ahead of him is not too much of an issue then, with no penalties for the Williams driver. Styles has got himself past Ginger Age, then Ginger Age is on the hard compound tyres. He's got 20 lap older tyres, sorry, I should say, than Styles. So Styles then breezing through then on the medium compound tyres up into P9. Then Mumford and Gordo battling away. Then down the inside into turn 1 goes Mumford. He's taken P2 away from the Aston Martin driver. Then now, can he hold on to it is the next question. He's going to have to do 10 or 11 and a half or 10 and a half laps, I should say, with that Aston Martin either breathing down his neck or trying to get himself past them in the next phase of this Grand Prix. It could be a pretty good race then, I think, between these two then to the end of the Grand Prix as well then. Equaz then looking to try and shape for a move, then trying to get himself back past the Aston Martin of Tory as well. Then Coop is within range of Sick as Muck as well here. Where is Hungry Styles then? Hungry Styles has got himself a gap now of over a second then to Ginger Age. Then unfortunately for Ginger Age, then that he has been trying to hold on to that P10 position for the time being then, but now Reflection is trying to gain on him as well. I'm not sure Reflection's tires will get to the end of the Grand Prix as well then, so potentially Ginger Age could be safe from Farf and Reflection and hold on to that final points paying position then, unless Lewis Riley, his teammate, tries to steal it away, which could be very horrible stuff indeed then for Ginger Age. But there we go then. Astrodron's got himself a problem then, but back underway now, which is good stuff. KD then soldiering on, and then on the soft compound tyres going through turn 1 as well here. Justified picked up a penalty, unfortunately. Justified running without an end plate then on the left hand side. He's been lapped by Young Lights then as we go on to lap 47 I should say then, but thankfully not 57. Then Ginger Age picked up a penalty, unfortunately, then going through. Well, that's that. Turn 11, I think, then, which is a very odd place to get a penalty, unfortunately, with Ginger Age, but there we go. Now, Reflection looking to shape for a move, then no DRS then for Reflection there, so unfortunately, I'm not quite sure why the rear wing is not opening up then for those drivers, but there we are. Coop now right on the back then of the Ferrari of Sick as Muck then for that P7 position then. Equaz then is holding station then in P6 I should say then for the time being, but here comes his teammate Coop looking to fight for, oh dear, we've got another problem then for the Red Bull of Astrodron, and we go through then into turn 1. If I was Lewis, I'd steal that point off Ginger, says Mushroom. I think you did that, didn't you, in a previous race? Or maybe there was some team orders there as well. Maybe it was something like Mushroom is faster than you. Can you confirm you understood this message sort of thing? But yes, there we are then. Reflection has put himself past Farf now up into P11 then. 1.8 seconds away from the points paying positions as it stands then as well. Then we will have to wait and see then if he can get himself into the top 10 then for Reflection then. But those soft compound tyres might start to struggle then later on in this stint. Then he's only done 4 laps so far. Goodness me. Coop then, I think Sick as Muck was early on the brakes then, and that has scared Coop, to be fair. But now onto the back straight then. DRS then available then for the Williams drivers. We go through then. Equaz has got himself back past Tory then for that 10-second penalty for far for corner cutting, which is good stuff. Coop then has got himself past Sick as Muck then for that P7 position then. Where is Farf then? Farf has gone off the circuit somewhere at in sector 1 then, and I think got himself lots of penalties then for Farf. Then 50 seconds of penalties, which is pretty good stuff indeed. I think that's the most we've ever seen for quite a few drivers then. Yellow flags again then. We've got more problems then, it looks like, for Astrodron then at the top of the hill then at turn 1. And that is going to be a problem for him then as well. Then Tory then is dropped down to P6, being passed by Equaz as well then, but he's now going to re-challenge the Williams driver then down the main straight then towards the first turn. And of course we're on to lap 48 now as well. We're flying through then, like I said, 8 laps to go then with this one included, and so far so good. Then, oh dear, going very wide then is Tory. Sick as Muck back past Coop then as these two carry on their fight then into turn 1 as well. Then more yellow flags in for the Red Bull of Astrodron then, who just needs to get himself back into the pits and retire, or put himself onto a new set of tyres as well then, literally, to get himself to the end of the Grand Prix. Even soft compound tyres could get you to the end of the Grand Prix from around here, so that wouldn't be too bad. Ginger Age is now under pressure from Reflection, but Reflection has got himself through then along the main straight up into P10 I should say, into turn 1, and passing the McLaren driver then. We will come back to that. We'll have to look at the penalty situation. Then we've got a problem for KD. Then KD's had an issue. Then are we having fuel issues? No, seems to be all right. Then I'm not quite sure what the yellow flag was for there for KD, but he was slowing down out there. Equaz has been passed by Tory. Then down the back straight. Then the Aston Martin back ahead. Then Styles has picked up a penalty. Then we'll have a look at the penalty situations then as well out here. Penalties then for Styles then is 18 seconds. Then goodness me. That would, at the moment, demote him out of the top 10 because Ginger Age is within 6 seconds of him. Then that difference between 18 and 12 is 6 seconds, I believe, as far as I know. So unfortunately, that would demote Styles then out of the points as it stands then. But of course, there's still a few laps to go then for that gap to extend or not extend. The opposite of extend is de-extend. I'm not quite sure. 50 pens, no DQ. That's impressive. Then Coop, as in Soup, on for a result. Then says Mushroom as well. Then yes, he is. Then he is technically going to be getting past Tory and Sick as Muck then for P6, I think, at the moment. And Equaz could get promoted then past both Tory and Kamara Racing as well. Then 9 seconds for Kamara. Then he's currently 9.5 seconds away. Then there's more yellow flags for a problem out there. It's another problem for Astra John, and surprise, surprise. So there we go then. Brilliant stuff indeed. Then we're not going to watch that because unfortunately people who are doing that sort of thing just need to get themselves onto a new set of tyres and crack on. But Farf is calling it a day then on 12 lap old soft compound tyres. Then that's a pretty good stint indeed from Farf on the soft compound. I'm pretty sure they were dead around lap the 5th lap then for him. He is coming in to serve his penalties as well then, goodness me. Well, that's very nice indeed. I think trying to get them out of the way now. Tory has been passed by Equaz, then these two carrying on their fight then, this time on lap 49. Then Equaz ahead into the sector, into the 3rd sector. Then here comes Coop. Then can he get himself past the Ferrari of Sickers Muck? Then unfortunately not then. So one Williams making the move, then one Williams stuck behind for the time being, that is. Farf then medium compound tyres, then out of the pits, then around turn 1, then down to P15, unfortunately for Farf. Not having a good time out there. Right then, out in front. Let's have a look out here. Let's have a look at the gaps out here. Then lap 50 has started then for the race leader of Young Light. He's got a 15-second gap just about then to Mumford then, but of course penalty permitting, that is. Penalties then for these two are both 6 seconds anyway, so that's not going to be too relevant, as they are, unfortunately for Mumford, going to lose out to Gordo here as well. Kamara's got 9 seconds penalties. Then if Equaz can get himself within that 9-second window of Kamara Racer, then he can get himself a P4 position here, but he needs to power on then, does the Williams driver. Then let's see what he can do then in the next 6 laps or so. 53 seconds. Well, technically Farf now is on, what is he on? He's on 43 seconds now because he served his 10-second penalty in the pit lane, which is magnificent. But there we go then. Tory then put the pressure on then for Equaz. Equaz could, like I said, if he can get himself in that 9-second window of Kamara Racer, could gain a place. And Coop's pick up a penalty. Then unfortunately for Coop, then that's his first penalty of the evening, and that is going to be detrimental then, I think, for Coop potentially. Then I think it will still pass Sickers Muck. I think he might still pass Tory as well then, so it's not all done and dusted just yet then, but we will come back to that because here comes Tory then on the attack then, trying to get himself back past Equaz as we go down the hill then towards sector 3. Then he's back up into P5 here in the Aston Martin. Good stuff indeed. Farf going to be there for a while, says Mushroom. I think he was referring to when Farf made the pit stop then, but it wasn't too long because I think he only served one 10-second penalty then. So yeah, so the rest of them still have to be served. But there we go then, as we cross the line very shortly in the next 5 laps or so. We will see what happens there, but I think he's only going to lose 1 place to justify actually, so it's not too bad. So Equaz now looking to regain the fight. Then Farf has been disqualified for picking up multiple penalties then. So there we go then. He's heard us and he's just decided to give up then in this race. Justify's got a 3-second penalty as well then. So Farf then out of the Grand Prix then and disqualified from the session then. So thankfully for Justify, he's got himself another spot then without having to do anything there in that one. Lewis Riley's caught up to his teammate of Ginger Age then. So this could be, like we were saying, this could be the fight then for the final points paying position. Potentially Reflections tyres might start to drop off quickly in the next lap or two. We saw Farf do 12 laps then, but unfortunately his tyres were just not working in the last 5 laps of that stint pretty much, it seemed. Equaz then is looking to keep on the fight. Then Coop then is still within the fight then with Sickers Muck as well. That they're actually catching up to Equaz and Tory as well then. Lewis Riley has passed Ginger Rage then, so Serious Mushroom has got it right then, and unfortunately Lewis Riley then not standing on ceremony then and passing his teammate as Astrodron has picked up the penalty as well there. Equaz then is looking to get himself back up into P5 then. Let's see what he can do then down this back straight as well here. DRS available then for the Williams. As we head down that back straight, he has got himself up into P5 then and passes SG Tory as well then. And once again, these two carrying on their fight then. Kamara Racer has got himself within the range of Gordo here as well then. Kamara, unfortunately with the penalty situation, will not be able to gain any places here, but he could use Gordo's DRS then if he can get himself within that 1 second, which it looks like he has done, to at least stave off the Williams of Equaz then to hold on to that P4 position, which is good news for him. Then Justify in the pit lane then onto a fresh set of soft compound tyres, and away he goes. Without my setup, Ginger Party have fell apart then, says Mushroom then, unfortunately. So I'm not quite sure what's happened there. More yellow flags then, this time for Astrodron again then. That's a surprise. The fuel light flashing then for the Red Bull then. Unfortunately, I think he's burned so much fuel then with the spins that he's been doing that it is costing a lot more fuel than it would do if he was just racing normally. But there we go then. So yeah, so long as he doesn't cause a safety car or a VSC, then that's all right, I suppose. But it would be better if we just got on with the Grand Prix itself. Then Kamara then using that using the Aston Martin's DRS then, or not using his DRS, using the Racing Bull's DRS then, but staying within the DRS range of the Aston Martin to pull himself along then, and we go over the hatchings then on down towards as Kiki has left the session. Then unfortunately Kiki's already out of the race as well then, but Gordo then is now going to be under pressure very soon. Not quite sure. Kamara's not opening his DRS then. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Tori then has been joined by Sick as Muck then. Coop unfortunately has dropped off the back here and has dropped down, or dropped off by 2 seconds then, as now Tori has been joined by Sick as Muck then. Down the inside goes the, round the outside goes the Aston Martin, down the inside goes the Ferrari. It's getting very dicey out there indeed. But like I said, Equus doesn't really need to worry about this because the penalty situation then for both the Aston Martin and the Ferrari then is very favourable then for the Williams because they are going to be demoted down the order then quite substantially then as well there. So it is not all done and dusted just yet then, but it is justified picking up another penalty for his troubles. Only 6 seconds for him, maybe trying to match Farf as well there. So Justify then is on a mission as well there. Good stuff indeed. 53 of 56 then. We've got 3.5 laps remaining in this one. So far so good then for all drivers then that are still going in this race then. It has been a bit of a mission then, this one, of course, the return then for the 100% league in this season, I should say then. After a 2-week break then we had Singapore then, which was even more of a mission than before the break, which is I think the drivers are going to be very happy that they didn't have to do Singapore when we got back rather than having to do it beforehand. Sickers Muck's got another penalty unfortunately then going through there, which is bad news then for the Ferrari driver then. Of course they're going to be all totted up then at the end of the race then, added on to their racing times at the end of the session. But there we go. Right then. So yes, I mean yeah, all sorts of things going to go on potentially with penalties then at the end of this race. Then we're going to have to keep an eye on that because the order will definitely be changing all over the place, I would imagine. So far, I think Gordo is still within the range then, just about then. Sickers Muck has got himself past Tori, then Ginger Ray's picked up a 3-second penalty as well, unfortunately. KD is pit and quit as well then. Right then, you've made it 53 laps out of 56, and why have you pit and quit? It's just a terrible decision in my opinion, but there we go. Not sure what is going on there, but yeah, surely even if you just crawled around the circuit to finish the race, then from there I would think that's a better option than doing 53 laps then and giving up. But anyway, nonetheless, we crack on. It's just the decision making from people is quite interesting to see in league racing, especially commentating wise. But there we go. So there we are. Kamara Racer then is oh dear, we've got a problem then for Williams then, it looks like, of who is that? It's Coop. Coop's had an issue at the final corner, unfortunately for Coop, and that has cost him dearly as well. Then it looks like P8 could be the best he could do on the cards at the moment. That is for the Williams driver of Coop. Then it looked like he was on a charge then as well earlier on in this stint as well, but unfortunately it has gone gone the opposite way then for Coop, then, which is a big shame indeed then, because he was looking to get some big points then for Williams here tonight then as well. Then unfortunately P8, it looks like it's going to be the best he can do then in this Grand Prix. Oh dear, goodness me, he needs to make sure he stays on the circuit first then to the end of the race then. And again, those hot tyres then, especially going through sector 1 then, is not helping that Williams car then keep it a stable car through that slaloming section as well then. Right then, this is the battle for P5, 6 and 7 it looks like here, and this is the battle that's heating up then as well. Kamara Racing then is right behind Gordo, but I don't think it's making any moves at the moment then. With that, sorry, Coop, says Mushroom. Oh dear, have we cursed Coop then? I think we've done the commentators curse, have we, Mushroom? Maybe I'm very sorry for Coop then, in that case. Yes. Right, here we go then. Tori, Sickers Muck and Equaz then in this fight. Then, of course, Equaz doesn't need to worry too much because he's not got any penalties then, so these 2 positions will be gained anyway at the checkered flag then for the Williams driver. Then lap 55, the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix, is underway then with the race leader of Young Lights, and he's 15 seconds ahead of Mumford. Then both of them have got 6 seconds of penalties, I believe. We'll have a quick look then. Yes, it is 6 seconds for them, and that is the situation there with the penalties as well then. So unfortunately, unfortunately for Coop then, Coop then could have got himself a position or two then gained with the penalties then, but of course that penalty that he picked up then will be added to his race time, so unfortunately he needs to be under 5 seconds behind Equaz to be able to have a chance then of gaining any places then, and it doesn't look like that's going to be the case at this point in the Grand Prix then. So these are the penalty situations as they cross the line. Then there's going to be quite a few changes then to the order when they do cross the line. Then there could be some more position changes after that. We'll have to wait and see then. There could be even more position changes after that as well then, but we'll have to wait and see what happens then at the end of lap 56 then. But so far it has been absolutely brilliant in this race. R2Beat's got a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane then, so I'm not quite sure what's happened to R2Beat then. Trying to get that car slowed down, and I think both himself and a Red Bull are in the pit lane then. It is not Styles, so I think it might be Astra John then who's into the box. But can they get themselves out in front of the race leader then, which is Young Lights here, going on to the final lap of the Grand Prix. And this is going to be tight indeed then for R2Beat then, it looks like, because he's just come out the pit lane now. Then there he is at the top of the hill then. He is going to stay on the lead lap just about then, which is just about very lucky indeed as well then, because he's going to have one more lap then potentially to go for the fastest lap of the Grand Prix here. And that will be an extra point, of course, for himself in the championship fight. Right then, here we go. Where is this battle here? Because this battle is going to start to heat up now as well. Then Equaz looking for a move then, but unfortunately not into the final corner then for himself. But we will have to wait and see then what the rest of the fight is going to look like then as we go through onto the main straight then for the final lap then for these guys as well. Then starting off the final lap then in towards turn 1. Then can they make a move? Then not quite. Then he stays behind for the time being, that is. But we will have to wait and see then if any changes are going to be made then on the track before the penalties are added on then before they cross the start-finish line. I also need to make sure I don't miss the race leader then crossing the line here, and it looks like Young Lights then starting off sector 3, so we'll stay on board then with Young Lights as we go through, and we'll watch the race leader then, who's done a fantastic job in this Grand Prix, and he's going through the final sector for the final time then in lap 56 of 56, and we will see how it's going to unfold then, how he's going to win this USA Grand Prix. It's been absolutely brilliant drive indeed then for the Kick Sauber driver. Let's see what he can do then in this Grand Prix. It's been brilliant stuff from P2 on the grid to the race win here for Young Lights, and rounding the final corner now for Young Lights, and there we go then across the line. Young Lights wins the USA Grand Prix. Brilliant stuff indeed then for the Kick Sauber driver. Then he's done a fantastic job here in US of A then, and takes the crown. Brilliant stuff indeed then from Young Lights. A fantastic drive, like I keep saying, but it's been brilliant, absolutely fantastic. I didn't see him for much of the race though, because he was too far out in front, but there we go then. Gordo, P2, Justified's been disqualified on the final lap then, so unfortunately didn't cross the start and finish line to finish the Grand Prix. R2Beat picked up a 3-second penalty then. Gordo P2, then Mumford P3 rounding off the podium places, then Kamara Racer in P4. Brilliant result from Kamara Racer then. Sick as Muck in Equaz P5, Sick as Muck P6, Tory in P7. Those three, very close across the line. Coop then will cross the line, I think, in P8 then in the end. Styles, can he hold on to P9? I don't think he can then, because Reflection is within that window as well then. Potentially Lewis Riley then is within that window as well here. We'll have to wait and see. So Styles might unfortunately drop out of the points here. Lucas Percy has left the session. Reflection finishes P9. Lewis Riley P10. Styles does drop out the top 10, unfortunately. Ginger Age then will cross the line. Then R2Beat is next to cross the line as well. Then as is Astra John then. And then we will get the resumption of this race. But there is the race leader then of, the race winner, I should say, then of Young Lights here in USA. Then he's done a brilliant job then in this Grand Prix to put the green kick machine on the top step of the podium as well. Then fantastic stuff indeed. Then Gordo in P2, a brilliant result once again then from Gordo. Then a very consistent drive as we've been accustomed to from Gordo as well then, and Mumford then rounds off the top 3, I should say, then P3 from Mumford in the Haas as well then. Very good stuff indeed. Gordo said great drive from Lights in as well. How are you doing? This is where I got my first win last season, says Indigo as well then. Took my mind off things, and GG, hopefully back soon then. Yes, we're looking forward to seeing you back soon as well then, Mushroom as well, and for Rocket League too. Hate this phone, says Rocket League. Sorry, Barry, my medium tyre wear was shocking then. So so Ginger Age having a problem with his strategist then in the comment section as well then. And there we go then. Well done indeed then for our podium drivers then. Mumford then P3, then Gordo in P2, sorry, for the Aston Martin, and the Kick Sauber of Young Lights then on the top step then for the podium. Not on pole position, thankfully. We've done that already. there's the classification then for the USA Grand Prix round 17 complete here in the 100% League of Season 3. Young Lights with the win, Gordo P2, Mumford P3, Kamara P4, Equaz P5, Sickers Muck in P6, Tori in P7, and Coop P8, Reflection P9, and Lewis Riley rounding off the top 10. Then Hungry Stars P11, Ginger Age P12, R2 Beat P13, Astra John P14, and KD, unfortunately, I think he did finish the race. No, he didn't finish the race at KD. Farf then P16, then Lucas Percy P17, Kiki P18, and Justified P19, all of them out of the Grand Prix. Great stuff indeed. Then we'll get some interviews underway, I think, then for the 17th round of the season. Bear with me 1 second. Then there we are, and we will start off then with our. I'm not sure we've got our race winner here, have we? Bear with me 1 sec. No, we haven't. So we'll start off then with Gordo P2 tonight. Then in the Aston Martin, then a fantastic race indeed from yourself. Very deafening. But yes, fantastic result in the Aston Martin. Then how do you feel after that Grand Prix?
How's the mic now? Sorry, I know
right.
Just about. What was the question, sorry?
How do you feel after that Grand Prix?
Yeah, that was a decent. I'll take that result. I'd have taken second before the race, and obviously gained a good few points on R2B and Equaz in the championship. Yeah, I kind of surprised myself, to be fair there. I'll take that. It was a decent race.
And you did do a good job then in the previous stint, and just working your way through the field consistently there as well. Then and got yourself a result, good result in the end as well there. Of course, you're in a battle still, I suppose you could say, with the two ahead of you, then of Equaz and R2 them for the title still. Mathematically, that is, of course. Do you think you're still in the title fight then, in terms of the mentality, I should say?
I suppose that's just where I've got it here. How far off am I? Before that,
me, I've no idea.
No, I think I've got. It was 16 points off Equaz and 18 off R2B going out. That's yeah, probably, possibly. I don't know. Depends on my pace. Obviously, both of them are very quick, so it depends on how they get on. But I suppose you're not out it till it's impossible. So yeah, why not?
Good stuff indeed. Then we'll look forward to that. Then, what's your thoughts then for Mexico next week?
Oh, I don't know. Penalties probably. I'll probably end up racking up quite a few of them. Yeah, I don't know. We'll just see how it goes.
Well, we saw quite a few of them tonight as well, then, so we'll have to wait and see what it's going to be like in Mexico there. But well done tonight, then, Gordo. Then P2 here in the US of A. Then well done indeed. And we'll move on then to Mumford. Then P3 tonight. Then Mumford. Well, a fantastic pole lap then indeed. But of course, it was a bit of a difficult session. Then, did you expect pole position in that qualifying session?
No, but I was a bit surprised, to be honest, to see people going out on softs at the end. There was only about 5 or 6 guys on inters. I was watching Gordo's out lap like 2 minutes before everyone went out, and it just looked way too wet. So yeah, I surprised myself, but I only had to beat about 3 or 4 cars in the end. So.
And of course, you had a pretty good first stint there, pretty good battles then as well. Then, but in the end, then, did you think that the strategy was just went the wrong way for you, or did the tires just not work? Then it looked like you were struggling on the soft compound tires in that first stint.
Yeah, but I expected that. I didn't want to use the hard, so I knew I was going to have to use the soft, and I think I wanted to get it out the way at the start. I was surprised people didn't go longer on the mediums, to be honest, because I thought they were completely fine for about 25 laps. So I was able to extend those out quite easily, to be honest.
Oh, we saw quite a few drivers then pitching from like lap 12 or something on medium compound tyres. So I thought that the tyre wear was pretty much extortionately high then around this circuit. But obviously they didn't know what they were doing. So well done indeed then, Mumford. Then another podium then under your belt then in the Haas then, and at the home Grand Prix for your constructor. Then they must be pretty happy with you, I'm sure. But were you hoping for a podium then in this race, or were you expecting it to be better or to be worse?
I was expecting it to be worse, to be honest. I mean, the ass has been pretty poor for me this season. I don't know if they've buffed it, but it felt quite decent today, to be honest. So
It must be a home Grand Prix sort of thing there. But congratulations there tonight then for yourself then. And what's your thoughts then on Mexico as well then? Or do you echo Gordo's statement about the penalties then for Mexico next week? Oh, well, we can't hear him anymore, unfortunately. But no, good stuff indeed then. Unfortunately, Mumford has checked out, and so hopefully we see him back next week. But congratulations then to of course Young Lights then with the race win here tonight in the Kick Sauber, then Gordo P2 in the Aston Martin, and Mumford then in the Haas in P3. We'll be back then in a week's time then in Mexico then for the 100% distance in racing there, and looking forward to seeing how they fare at the Autodromo de Hermanos Rodriguez or whatever that is. But first, of course, we've got the US of A coming up for gold on Sunday, silver on Monday, and bronze on Tuesday. So stay tuned for that then on ALR. Plenty more action coming up. We're done with the break weeks now to the end of the season that we are flying through then. So see you very soon.